the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is luca-Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys. Another Sunday, another show, and I must tell you, I'm extremely excited. I know this is becoming more and more like almost, I say, an international show. It started as a local show, and it still is, of course. But we know when I start to see that I have people calling me or reach me out from Germany, from Australia, from around the world, thanks to the internet, I think it's great. Because after all, what we are doing here, it is not just as Americans. We try to understand that what's happening in America, this erosion of our rights, it's happening everywhere around the world. So this is kind of comforting to see that we have other people from around the world try to fight the same struggle. But I tell you, what for me is the most important thing at the end is try to rebuild America from its foundation. I'm here as an American. When I became an American in 2005, I took this very seriously. I believe that this republic, it is under attack. And that's why I'm on this show. And if I had to find a recipe, or at least one of the answers, to try to fight back for our rights within the system and to take back this republic, I really believe that the most important thing is to be engaging, especially at local level, county level, because after all, the county is the microcosm of our country. That's what it is. And what is the most powerful position that I really believe we have in America is the county sheriff. Today, officially, I wanted to open the first hour of the show. I want to dedicate it to all the candidates out there who are running for county sheriff in Mohave County. And when I say to all, because I don't care which party you are, I don't care really what affiliation. All I care that you come, you are welcome to be here, and I want to give you a platform to express yourself. And just to be sure people understand where I'm coming from, people understand where I'm coming from. I am not anymore, I don't belong to any party. First of all, I don't belong to anybody. That's a fact. But I intentionally became an independent a few years ago, especially since I started to have this radio show, because I don't feel obligated to any party. I never did before. The only obligation I have is to the truth and to the oath that I took when I became an American citizen. That means to the United States Constitution and to this republic. The rest, as I said, and I've proven in the past, I always put my personal friendship after. If you are a public person, that you run for public business, I would never put friendship before business. Business becomes first, especially when it's public. So I want to just give the disclosure. So today we will start with one of the first candidates, and I'll give you the name in a few seconds right now. And I want to say, everybody out there, I'll be trying to reach out every one of you guys and girls that wants to be on the show. But in case I miss you, you're welcome to contact me directly. You can go to lovegunsfreedom.com. If you're running for Mohave County Sheriff, send me an email, zanna@zanna.us. Now, the first candidate I have the honor to have with me is Mr. Doug Schuster. Probably I misspell it. I'm going to get him on. He's going to correct me. I'm going to look, as usually, like really an idiot, but I'm going to find it right. But more important, I want to say something about Doug. I have know about him. I know when he was in the county sheriff, and I think I met him one time when I was at the Mohave County Sheriff Sheenan birthday party. So I think I remember also his face. I think I met him there. But more important, I want to say something that I want to say with him. Let me call him in to be sure I got the name right. Doug, are you there?
I'm here, Luca.
First of all, forgive me if I probably misspell or mispronounce your last name. Can you help me out to spell it out, your first and last name for me? You do it better.
Sure, you were close. My name is Douglas Schuster.
Schuster. Okay, thank you, and I apologize for that. Sometimes I'm terrible. I forget my name sometimes, seriously. But listen, I want to say, I think I met you one time. I was during one of the birthday party of former Sheriff Sheenan. You were there, I guess, right? You were still in service at the time. It was a few years ago.
Yes, I do. I actually remember meeting you, Luca.
Yeah, I think I was the one that somehow looked like an idiot. I was sounding like a serenade, and I sounded like a moron. Remember that? I was singing a serenade for the sheriff.
I remember you doing it. I don't think you sounded bad at all. You have a nice
Okay.
voice.
But anyway, that's why I brought this up, because I want to be sure my listeners understand, regardless of what type of personal, sometimes we have preferences as a friends or whatever. But when it comes down to public business, I always put the truth first. And I'll give you the example with the sheriff. Probably you don't know all these details, but you need to know. It's for my listeners. At the time, I was kind of close to the Sheriff Sheena. He invited me to his birthday party and all this stuff. And we had a decent relationship as a constituents, as sheriff. But I don't know if you're familiar, the big drama when happened when I was trying to pass out a flyer on Mohave County property when the Senator McCain was in the county for his whatever it was, a speech or campaign or whatever you want to call it. And at the time, the day, I realized that unfortunately I wasn't happy with what Sheriff Sheena did that day. Because all I was asking to the sheriff, which law am I breaking that does not allow me to pass this little flyer that was also just the voting records of Senator McCain on county property, on the parking lot. And the sheriff could have really stopped all the drama, just said there is no law, just do what you have to do not disturb people and move on. Of course, I wasn't disturbing anybody. Instead, the answer was, I don't know. And I tell you, that day, even as much I had, good respect as a person, but as a sheriff, I didn't have any more that type of feeling. So for me, that's the point. I want to show you where I'm coming from. I don't have any personal allegiance to none, but to the facts that when you are run for office or you are, let's say in this case, a sheriff, you must, fulfill your oath. That's for me the most important thing. So that's pretty much a little disclosure where I'm coming from. Now, talking about disclosures, I'm a friend of Jim Leeson. You know Jim, right?
I do.
Very good. And I want to say that to everybody because, as I said, doesn't mean anything. I mean, I have Jim many times on the show. And also, Jim is also is a person who's helping you out for your campaign. Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
That's correct.
Good. So everybody must know this is transparency. On the radio show, I don't have any type of any little secrets or anything. At the same time, I want to also say, just because for correctness, I've been doing business with Ed Mack from Plan Crazy that I bought a few years ago, one of his products 5 years ago, and I did some reviews about his rifle, whatever. But, doesn't mean anything. Also, people know, of course, that Ed is related to one of your opponents, or at least one of the other candidates that is running for sheriff. But as I said, for me, doesn't mean anything. That's business, and that's, I have a relationship with Jim, and I can buy stuff from Mac. But for me, now comes down to our business. Who you are, what can you offer to our county as a potential sheriff, and I stick to that. Okay? So, any questions before we start? Am I clear with everything?
No questions. I simply want to make the statement, Luca, that I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I understand this is a smaller county. A lot of people know each other. Doug Schuster is running for this position on his own merit, and I say that because I'm not concerned with what the other candidates do or do not do. I recognize that I am the most qualified person for the position, at least in my opinion, and I'm trying to get that information out to the voters. Luke, I will tell you, I'm not a politically minded person in the sense that I will not play into the drama that goes on with typical politics. I'm a retired deputy sheriff. I spent over 26 years with the Mohave County Sheriff's Office, and I'm looking to fix the most pressing problems that are currently facing the sheriff's office. That's why I put my name in the hat. Very good. So you already pretty much partially answered to some of my questions. First of all, who are you as a professional background? How, if I can put out a resume, you're applying for a job right now, a public job. Tell us briefly, something, of course, pertinent to this job. I mean, if you do like some sort of other things, like, I don't know, you like to collect butterflies or other hobbies not related, but something that could be pertinent, your skills related to this job. Give us the best curriculum you can put out. I give you the floor. Go ahead. Okay. Well, I don't collect butterflies. I will tell you that I started my career with the Mohave County Sheriff's Office back in 1989. I was fresh out of high school, and I took a position as a detention officer. After 2 years of serving in that capacity, I was selected to go to the Arizona Law Enforcement Training Academy in Tucson, and I became a certified deputy sheriff, state officer in 1991. I enjoyed the job. I really took to it. I certainly understood that my position was bigger than one officer in the sense that we were here to serve the community, and that's how I've always been. I'm very service-orientated. When I'm not working, I'm still out in the public doing what I can to assist because I believe in it. But getting back to my career, in 1995, I was promoted to the rank of sergeant. I spent close to 20 years in that position. I have worked all over Mohave County. I've worked in Lake Havasu. I've worked in Kingman. I've worked in Bullhead City and all the surrounding areas. And it was my good fortune to be able to do this, to get to know the various citizens throughout our county. And I'm very proud of what I was able to do. As a supervisor for the sheriff's office, one of my major accomplishments was in the area of boating safety. I was assigned to the boating safety program as the supervisor, I think it was 1998, and we had real problems. The lakes and rivers were overcrowded. There were significant issues with alcohol consumption and people operating boats, and as a result, the accident rate was at an all-time high. We dealt with many, many fatal boat accidents throughout each boating season when I first came into the program. And so we developed a master plan. And when I say we, I was tasked with the responsibility of coming up with a solution. So we were able to put together a master plan that incorporated several different things. Number one, educating the public. That was very important to get the word out there. So we began an educational campaign along with a zero-tolerance campaign, and we elicited the support of all the other agencies that work the water to make this happen. And the reason I say I'm so proud of my accomplishments in that field is after 15 years of doing that job, not only did the accident rate and the alcohol consumption as it pertains to driving under the influence rate dramatically decrease, but the boat use throughout Mohave County almost doubled.
Okay,
so
interesting.
To break it down,
Interesting.
to break it down for you, Luca, what I'm saying is back when I first started, for every stop we would make on the water, 1 out of every 5 people operating the boat were under the influence.
Wow.
When I left the program, 1 out of 175 people were found to be under the influence, so we made a dramatic change.
Yeah, it's very good. Excellent. And if I will remember, I like to, it's funny because now all comes to my memory. I remember one day I was at the sheriff's office, talking with Mr. Schuster. We were talking about some different topics. It was the new legislation of, not that new, but, the Patriot Act, things like that. I was in his office. I remember, I think you were coming through the office, and the sheriff was just telling me that just recently you went through some shootout. At least you had to, unfortunately, to shoot at some bad guy. Am I right or wrong? It was you, I guess, right? I remember that was you.
Yes, I was involved in a shootout back in 2007, and I'm very thankful for the outcome. Obviously, I'm here today to talk about it. It was an escaped convict out of Kingman. That convict had made his way to Lake Havasu. We had information that he was staying at a local residence. While checking the residence, we actually ended up clearing the backyard. Behind the block wall in the backyard, I was searching a power easement line, and I came under fire. The suspect was hiding in the bush, actually a large amount of shrub, and he started firing at me.
Wow.
I was able to return fire, and I'm just very fortunate that I was not hit, and I was able to resolve the problem to the degree that nobody else got hurt, not the officers on scene nor the general public. So it was a scary day, Luca.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Sometimes I'm kind of slow, but I remember things, I remember that day like it was yesterday. You were walking through and the sheriff said, you see that guy? He told me all the story. So excellent. I'm glad. You see, it's a small world after all. I really realized that. So
you've got a good memory.
Yeah. Sometimes I seem like I forget last names, but I remember the big pictures, okay? I'm sorry about that before.
Sure.
Anyway, good, excellent. I'm glad that we're going through this. Now, I'm going to start to bring you, for example, to specific things that you could do if you get elected, okay? First of all,
sure.
Probably you already answered partially when you just said all the things you said, but I want to be sure that is clear. Why Mohave County voters, okay, should vote for you above all the other candidates? This is going to be a big election. What do you have to offer specifically that others don't? I mean, what is your special things that you say, this is what I have more than you guys?
That's a great question. Here's how I answer that, Luca. I am the only candidate currently running for this position that spent his entire career with the Mohave County Sheriff's Office. I am intimately familiar with the operation of the department and its intricacies. There are other candidates that have vast law enforcement experience like I do, but their experience comes from a different agency, a local city agency, and most people are aware that the county and the city law enforcement programs are very, very different. They're unique in their own sense, and we really need somebody who has a strong understanding of how the department works and has a strong connection with the employees that currently work at the sheriff's office, because we have some significant problems. One of the big problems is retention, and I do have a master plan in place, very similar to when I talked about my involvement with the voting program. You have to recognize the problem, you have to document the problem, and then you have to seek resolution, and that's what I've done. So we can talk specifically about my master plan. I can simply tell you that I'm the only candidate running with the background that is necessary to move the sheriff's office forward.
Okay.
The other candidates, with their experience, were running for a city office or seeking appointment from a city office. That would be more specific to their tailored experience.
Okay, now tell me exactly, I'm sure there are different things that you would like to change or improve, okay? But I'd like just to focus probably on two things that if you get elected as a sheriff, you would put as a priority to improve in the Mohave County Sheriff Office. Give me the two priorities that you would work with.
Okay, well, the very first priority that must be addressed is retention. We cannot keep deputy sheriffs here in Mohave County. We train them, we invest money into them, and then after a year or so, these young deputies, both men and women, decide that they can make more money at working at an agency within their own community, whether it be a local police department or the highway patrol or the like, and they leave. And so we have this ongoing cycle where we're hiring people in, we're investing money into these people. After they get a little bit of time and experience to a degree where we can start using them as solo officers, they leave, and we become a training ground for other agencies. These other agencies, they are thrilled to death. They don't have to put any investment into these deputies. They simply call up, take them, and they put them to work in a different colored uniform, and that has to stop. Along those lines, Luca, I can tell you that when you talk about retention, money's important. Of course, we have to find an avenue to get them to a degree where they're making a comparable wage to the surrounding agencies. You know, cops are cops. They know they're not going to get rich doing this job, but we have to become comparable to the other agencies. And then you have factors underneath that really come into play when you have such a misguided pay scale as we currently have. Morale suffers. Morale suffers to a degree where work performance is hampered. These young men and women sign on to do the best job they can. I believe they try to do that. But when they're short-staffed and they pick up extra workload, it wears on them. It wears on them significantly, and it's epidemic. So we have to correct that problem first and foremost if we're going to be successful, because ultimately it's about the service we provide to the citizens of Mohave County, and we can't get the job done when we're understaffed to the degree that we are.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, I have another question. I interviewed like a few weeks ago an Arizona State Senator, Kavanaugh. I guess, hopefully I pronounced her right. I'm always so bad. Anyway, interesting senator. He got some good points, something that I agree, some other things I do not agree. And one of those was at least something that was kind of controversial, was a bill that would have made unlawful to record a peace officer or a law enforcement, we will go there after we want to call it, within 21 feet. What is your position on that?
Yeah, I would be against that type of bill, and here's why, Luca.
Go ahead.
I've made it very clear in my run for this position that everything I do is transparent. I want the office to be transparent. I don't see any reason for a recording of any officer to be construed as a negative thing when these officers are out there doing a job, they're serving the public, and I don't see a problem with it being recorded. Now, having said that, I believe there are personal times. If an officer or officers, let's say, are in a private setting, they're having their lunch break or whatever, I don't think they would appreciate the intrusion.
Of course.
As far as passing a law to change that, I would not be in support of that.
Okay, very good. Okay, no, I agree when somebody's having a moment of break. The only thing, this is something normally happening in the middle of what could be an arrest or even just a stopping somebody, whatever type of situation. So, okay, interesting. Now, what do you think about, there were talk a few months ago, even a few years ago, I guess, even in Mohave County, about the opportunity, or could be also a burden, depends which type of philosophy you have, to give to our peace officers, to our deputies, like a little video camera. They can somehow always have a third eye to document everything they're doing, especially when they interact with the public. What is your position on this personal video camera device that our deputies could have?
I think it's a wonderful tool. We live in a day and age where we have the technology available to us, and I think we need to take advantage of it more. I said earlier, I truly believe that the law enforcement officers in Mohave County, not just at the sheriff's office, but at the local police departments and on all levels, their hearts are in the right place. They're out there to serve us, and I believe they deserve that protection. We've all seen the national media where a small clip of a big incident is shown portraying law enforcement in a negative light, and I believe that the facts should speak for themselves. If an officer were able to videotape the contact from start to finish, I see nothing but benefit in that.
Very good. Okay, excellent. Now, as you know very well, better than me, after all, I wasn't born here. I'm just an immigrant. But this country was founded on the rule of law, at least used to. I mean, the last 10, 15 years, I see different things. But let's say that's the foundation, okay? So we're supposed to have a rule of law that doesn't, see if, I don't care who you are, the law is the same for everybody, right? Now, I'll give you a scenario, okay? Congress passes a law that all guns all over the 50 states must be registered. You are the sheriff of Mohave County. Hey, that's the law directly from Washington, D.C. What do you do?
In regards to having the weapons registered?
Yes, every home, every house, every gun we have, we must be registered these guns. And in this case, the federal agencies, it could be Homeland Security and FBI, whatever they have, they say, hey, Sheriff, you must comply. And you must help us out to register these guns of these residents. What would you do?
Well, that's a great question, Luca. I can tell you it's a twofold answer for me. Number one, I am very tired of the long-reaching arm of our federal government. We've seen it time and time again where they're overstretching the authority. And if that were to happen, if they're to pass such a bill, they have the authority to do that. If they came to me as Mohave County Sheriff and told me I was going to be instructed to enforce that bill, that's not going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't encourage people to register their weapons because if it's a federal law, I believe that they should adhere to that, but it doesn't mean I have to actively take part in it, and I would not.
Okay. Question, what is the supreme law of the land that we have, in your opinion?
The Constitution covers the supreme law of the land, entitling everyone to their freedoms and their rights to pursue happiness. Yeah. And I believe very strongly in the United States Constitution.
Okay, and then, of course, the Constitution is to constrain the government mostly, and then we have attached this called the famous Bill of Rights, at least the 10th, the 10th amendment, from the 1 to the 10th, they are the personal individual rights. And after all, Congress, remember, in past, better than me, American history, they did laws against civil rights, not even civil rights, talking about slavery. I mean, there was a legal case brought to the Supreme Court. It was called Dred Scott against Sanford, that pretty much the Supreme Court said slavery was legal. I mean, at that point, every one of us must decide what you want to do. You want to follow the law that could be against the human rights or against the Constitution, and more important, the individual rights expressed, enunciated, and enumerated, in the Bill of Rights, or just follow the law. For example, if you were, one of these peace officers or policemen who arrested Rosa Parks because it was breaking the law, what would you have done then? Follow the law or maybe something else? What is your answer?
Me personally, I would not have arrested Rosa Parks. I believe very strongly in the First Amendment. I believe very strongly in the Second Amendment. And here's the thing, Luca. When we're talking about the Bill of Rights, that is an understanding. There's a given understanding that these rights shall not be taken from us. They were set forth for generation and generation to come. That was the intent of the Founding Fathers. And I want to stress to you that I believe in that authority. there's more than just the Bill of Rights. The federal government has the authority to act within what is written into that Constitution and nothing more. Okay? But there's a misconception. For the past 2-3 decades, we keep seeing an extension of that. It's clearly in violation of the Constitution, but it's as if the Constitution did not have the backbone it used to. Mm-hmm. So all I can tell you, sir, is that in Mohave County, the Constitution will bind us, and it will control our performance, and it will control the way we serve the public.
Perfect. Okay, very good. Yes,
I
clear.
hope that makes sense to you.
Very sense. I'm just trying to go through this because there's something that, many people know already about it, but, sometimes they want to know these questions, especially from you or any other candidate that may run for office. Now, talking about something that I think is really important, especially for your office, did you ever heard about the Supreme Court case, Mack Prince against the United States? That was a part of a Sheriff Mack lawsuit. They ended up on federal court, Supreme Court case. Did you ever heard about that Supreme Court case, Mack Prince against the United States? Or maybe even better. No. Okay. Did you ever heard about Sheriff Mack?
Sorry, Luke. I was just going to say I know Sheriff Mack, or I should say I know of Sheriff Mack, but I have not heard of that bill. Okay. Or that case.
Okay. There's something that I'm sure, maybe you should contact, because Sheriff Mack is a great guy, okay? They'll give you the short story. In 1997, there was a ruling from the Supreme Court case that Mack, the little sheriff that he was in Graham County, he challenged the federal government, exactly the enforcement of the Brady Act. And it was historical what he did alone, because the county even didn't support him. He was able to win this decision at the Supreme Court, where pretty much reinstated or reminded to the federal government that the federal government has no authority in our counties unless the sheriff or the local government, in this case the sheriff, wants them in. And there are only 3 exceptions that they were allowed to be in. But the most important was that, yes, we have a 10th Amendment. Yes, we have a separation of jurisdictions. So the bottom line was the Sheriff Mack won this Supreme Court case, and there was a great message for all the county sheriffs around the nation that they don't have to comply with anything coming from Washington. After all, you have your jurisdiction, or at least the sheriff has the jurisdiction. So whenever you have a chance as a potential, I'm your potential constituent, I would really invite you to contact Sheriff Mack, because he has incredible literature and all documents that you can really enjoy to study this case. That is very short. You don't need to become a lawyer to study what happened, but I think it's very fundamental for your potential career there as a sheriff. Very good.
That sounds great. Look, I appreciate you bringing it to my attention.
Perfect. Okay, now let's go back to reality. December 2011, 31st of December, night of, almost Happy New Year. Mr. Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act, also called NDA. They're pretty much now codifying the indefinite military detention without charge or trial into law for the first time in American history. What happened now with the NDA of 2012, there is a clause that gives the authority to the president, authorize the president, and all the future presidents, doesn't mean that's going to happen with Obama, to order the military, not even anymore the civilian law enforcement, to pick up and indefinitely imprison people, capture anywhere in the world, even on U.S. soil. And the beautiful thing, and I've been sarcastic here, without due process, and there is no more evidence, no more habeas corpus, no more the body of the crime. We go before pre-Magna Carta, just because suspected to be a terrorist. Now, what would you do if you're elected sheriff and some of your constituents, maybe by accident, maybe we don't know, because anyway, they don't give us any explanation, would be facing such a scenario to be kidnapped by the federal government? What would you do as a county sheriff?
Great question, Luca. I go back to what I said earlier in the sense that I'm a long-term police officer, deputy sheriff, and I believe strongly in the law. And in the law, there's a little thing called due process, as you had mentioned. There's also a little thing called probable cause. It's something that every officer understands, and there must be probable cause that exists to detain a person suspected of a crime. We have a big problem in our country with terrorism. don't get me wrong. Yes, I have a strong stance against terrorism. And we can do as a county to support putting an end to domestic terrorism. We will do, but it has to be within the law. I think if I understand what you're saying is if the federal government were to come in and want to take one of our citizens based on suspicion, okay, well, in that situation, I'm going to be very active first and foremost. If there is suspicion, I want to know what the suspicion is. I have no problem with the temporary detainment of a person under those circumstances, but if probable cause doesn't come from that suspicion, then I'll be the first one fighting them to get out, fighting to get them out, because that's how the law is supposed to work. Everyone is entitled to due process.
Yeah, and remember, this is now it goes to levels deeper. We're talking about, first of all, indefinite detention. In the clause is very specific. As Senator Graham said, you don't need an attorney, and more important, we let you out when we want. So that's going to be very interesting. It's all out there. I mean, it's not a conspiracy anymore. There are been lawsuits and, different organizations, let's say conservative organization trying to denounce it, also liberal organization, whatever. This is a fact. The new America we're living in right now. All right, interesting. Now, question. We have already in Mohave County, correct me if I'm wrong, like some sort of a volunteer posse. Is that right?
We do have a volunteer posse at the sheriff's office.
Yes.
It's degraded over the years. It's not the program it used to be.
Okay, because, my question was exactly, do you believe in the creation of an armed and regulated, let's say, auxiliary posse? Or you just, for example, right now happy with the posse that we have, that I know there are some sort of, let's say, scouts or, volunteers that they can just be there as a help, but they cannot really, be a practical help. All they can do is maybe, call for you guys, for the officers. How would you organize the new posse under you if you were a sheriff?
Very good. Well, number one, I don't really like the term posse. I believe very strongly in volunteer programs. That's part of my platform.
Okay.
I'm going to introduce a variety of different volunteer programs because there are people in our county who are willing and able to serve, who are willing to donate their time, and we have a large base of experience that we're not tapping into. So, yes, we are going to establish volunteer programs, probably the likes that this county's never seen before, because I need those extra eyes and ears on the street. I think what you're talking about, Luca, is more of a county militia, controlled militia. And believe it or not, I support that as well in this vein. I think that we should always prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I do plan on organizing, and I don't like the word militia. I only use that because that's the verbiage in the Second Amendment. But we will have a group of volunteers that are properly vetted, meaning that we know that they are lawful, that they are able to possess firearms, and then it's critical that they receive training. And then the last step would be, Luca, to make sure that we have policy and procedure in place that they must adhere to. And the reason I say this, we've had volunteer programs in the past where people get in and they try and overstep their authority, and then lawsuits and other negative things come from it.
Yes.
So we'll set policy saying this is what you can do, this is what you're expected to do, and if they violate that policy, they're out. Okay. However, we want the good men and women out there that are looking to help, and I have a great deal of respect and admiration for anybody who's willing to volunteer their time. So, yes, you will have a large volunteer.
Okay, good. Okay, very good answer. Now, I'm sure, funny because I was going to ask you the next step, talking about the militia, especially in Arizona, because we have a constitution and we have, of course, our state laws. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Title 26, Article 2 of the Arizona Revised Statute about the militia. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And there are, of course, some subsections, the composition of the militia and who is exempt. And, of course, also the different type of militia. Now, we have the militia divided in the National Guard of Arizona, the State Guard when organized, and then there is the unorganized militia. And then, we're talking about 26.122, Section B. The National Guard consists, of course, officers, warrant officers, enlisted personnel, blah, blah, blah. And then we also have something that not many states have. I mean, this is part of our Arizona basic foundation, okay? We're talking about the unorganized militia, Section E. that consists of the members of the militia, no members of National Guard, and no members of the State Guard. So pretty much that's something that, I don't call it I know that you said, I don't want to mention it too much as a militia, but, it's not a bad word. It's part of our Arizona Revised Statute and also our Arizona Constitution. So everybody between the age of 18 and 45, if I'm correct, or 46, is automatically member of our militia. And I want to say that also to the people that they try to demonize this word, especially most of the times. I don't want to call left or right, but, we know the story. Instead, automatically in this state, every man between 18 to 45 or 46, I will read it again, automatically we are part of the militia. So that's something interesting to remind to the rest of the population, okay? It is nothing but within our own laws. That's pretty much the story. Okay, you already answered, by the way, to this question. Now, I have a more specific question. I think something you're going to probably enjoy. What is for you the difference between a law enforcement and a peace officer? And how would you consider yourself?
Okay, you kind of broke out on that one. The difference between law enforcement and a peace officer?
Yes, and how do you consider yourself?
Well, honestly, you're kind of mincing words there because both kind of mean the same. Law enforcement is just that. When I think of law enforcement, I think of officers who are, black and white enforcing the law. Mm-hmm. A peace officer is somebody who maintains the peace and enforces the law as necessary. Mm-hmm. Luca, the easiest way for me to answer that is I'm a combination of both. Okay. I'm a very open, honest person, and I have a very strong sense of what is right and what is wrong. And I do believe that there's a gray area, and unfortunately I've seen in law enforcement where common sense has been thrown out the window and it's ridiculous. Okay. We have a job to do in law enforcement. I get that. We will enforce the law. When people break the law, they will be held accountable. But that's everybody. That's just how it is, myself included. But there has to be some common sense that goes with that.
Yes. For example, going back to the case of Rosa Parks, in my own personal view, how I look at that. If I was the police officer of that case and I was following the order, say, you must arrest this woman because she's not complying with the law and she must sit in the back of the truck or the bus. That would be a law enforcement operation because I'm just enforcing the law. A peace officer, I'm binded by the basic principle, first of all, that, Bill of Rights and Constitution there, the supreme law of the land, but more important, I want to keep the peace. And I think at that point, I need to follow not just what some man in Washington tells me or the local city council can say about the law, but must also comply with the basic human rights that probably sometimes, even legislators can miss, it's part of human history happening in every civilization. So that's pretty much the way I would look at a peace officer. But anyway, interesting.
Sure. And Luke, I was going to say too, I agree with 100% with what you're saying. When I look at the Rosa Parks incident, I would have deemed that to be an unlawful order. That's an order against mankind. Mm-hmm. So when we're dealing with people's civil rights, I don't think there can be any dispute. And that's the problem we've had for many years with our federal government. Things are changing, and they're changing in a negative direction. And we complain about it as a society. We all complain about it, but nothing's getting done. Mm-hmm. We see these politicians getting in there saying one thing and doing completely the opposite. And that's why I said at the beginning of your show, I'm not a politician. I don't want to be. Mm-hmm. In fact, the very definition of politician, Luca, is somebody seeking office for personal gain. That's what's written in the dictionary. Yeah. I consider myself a statesman. That's somebody that seeks office and seeks support of the people to represent the people.
Very good, very good. And you're retired right now, right? I mean, you served, how many years did you serve in office? I'm just curious. I forgot.
Sure, I did 26 years with the sheriff's office. Wow. I retired in May of 2015. Wow. I actually took a job. I took a job after that as a pro tem judge in Lake Havasu, and then I got a lot of people calling me up, asking me to run, a lot of law enforcement officers. So I resigned from that position because I felt there would be a conflict of interest, and I put my name in the hat.
How old are you?
I'm going to be 46 in a couple days here.
Wow, you're still very young. Very interesting. Very good. Very good. So that's bottom line. You could have right now stay pretty much, retired. You don't have to really to to work. I mean, you already your retirement, you put your years there. This is something that...
That's correct. That's correct. In fact, Luca, my wife thinks I'm crazy. She said, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
You worked so many years and it's such a stressful job. Why would you want to get back into it?" And the answer is simple. I care. I care about the people that work there. I care about all the law enforcement, and I care about the people.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, listen, I want to go more, something always, this is the type of questions normally I do to my guest, okay? This show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. We talk about guns. We talk, of course, about freedom. And, the first assets that I think we have as a human beings, I don't care if you're rich or poor, it's our body, okay? And I always believe that in the principle that we have rights until we infringe on somebody else's rights. So that's the bottom line. In a specific case, because this is part of your duties, we have federal laws that maybe in our state they are different from other states, but when it comes down to who owns our body, us or the government, that's the first question I would like to ask you, always with the specific clause that we do not infringe on somebody else's rights. And in this specific case is, for example, the safety belt, okay? We have a safety belt law that is a federal law that, correct me if I'm wrong, also in Arizona we're supposed to comply, maybe in a different way, you can specify. But when somebody, for example, for personal reasons, decides that I do not want to wear my seatbelt, okay? After all, I'm not endangering anybody else. It's my health, and I have a health care, and I have my health insurance, whatever. You as a peace officer or law enforcement in this case, would you stop somebody and give him a ticket or not?
Well, first of all, just so you're clear on it, Luca, in the state of Arizona, you cannot be stopped solely for not wearing a seatbelt.
Good, okay.
There has to be probable cause to support any stop, and then that would be a subsequent violation if it were witnessed. I have never written a seatbelt violation ticket. I can tell you that I would strongly encourage people to wear them. I know that other officers have written the citation, and I agree, it is their person, but I think we have a legal quandary there in the sense that it is written into Arizona law, so that's a discretionary thing that's left up to the individual officer, and I always found that a simple warning is sufficient, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't get a citation from someone else. Okay,
but that's your personal choice, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to, say things wrong. You would not give a ticket, you give him a warning.
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't write a ticket for a seatbelt violation.
Okay, very good. And I say this may be probably a small things to many, but I think for many of us, it's the principles. The same story like now we have Obamacare. After all, if the government can tell you what is best for you when it comes down to your personal health, why we are surprised that the government can force us to buy a product or a service like healthcare and fine us when we already went through this safety belt law, okay, for many years we comply, or at least some of the states comply. Or look in New York, they can tell you, at least they try to tell you how much salt you can put in the restaurant. There were city laws that they outlaw salt. That. And very good. Okay, excellent. Now, before we go ahead, I always talk so much and always ask questions. Do you have any questions for me or for anything you want to say? I give you the floor.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't really have any questions, Luca. I just appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I've been in this campaign only for about six weeks now. A lot of the other candidates have been in for some time. So I'm trying diligently to get the word out, and I've been very blessed. I told myself coming in that I would only surround myself with positive people, with good people. I've got God in my heart, and the bottom line is we're making a strong run, and I want to invite everybody to join the Schuster for Sheriff team. If you'd like to know more about me, you can certainly visit my webpage, www.schuster, SCHUSTER, 4, Sheriff, SHERIFF.com. That has a full breakdown of my accomplishments, my time, my tenure, what my stance is. I would really encourage people to go there, and if you would like to support, my phone number is listed as well. Give me a call anytime. I like meeting the people.
Very good.
I'm very, very blessed.
I wanted to give the floor, but we are not finished yet. We are still at 10 more minutes, okay? I want to give you a few more questions.
No, I'm just throwing that out there now.
Perfect.
I didn't know your timeline.
No, and good, because I was going to ask you, please give your website. I want people to reach out directly so they can find out more, and this is very important. Very good. Now, this is something I ask to every candidate. I don't care if you're running for city council or state senator or whatever, okay? First of all, anything in your private life, it's your private business. I don't care. I want to be specific, and not because it's you, anybody. Somebody, I don't know, I have a personal sexual preferences or whatever, cheating, I don't care. It's none of my business, okay? But the only questions I would like to ask you is, because, we are here in the public business. After all, we need to know things connected to our public life. So any things that we should know about things that happen to your life, connected to your public life, that we should be pretty much concerned, or maybe we should know more. And I give you specific. For example, I had cases in the past that people were putting claims against one of our state representatives that he has some sort of domestic violence. I brought him up and we were upfront. He was upfront. And for me, I want to just bring the facts. I'm not here to judge anybody. Be clear that. So my question is, anything we should know about your life that could be, even if it's private, for example, I want to be specific. Let's say you had an affair with another person, none of my business. But let's say you had, for example, and this is not you, of course, I'm just talking generic, okay? Maybe a domestic violence case or a DUI. That's something that I believe as a person running for the sheriff office, especially as a sheriff, we should know. So I give you this simple generic question. Anything that we should know about things that are humans, mistakes can be done. Everybody can make mistakes. But we're here as potential people to hire you. We would like to know.
Sure. Look, nothing comes to mind. I would have to answer that with a solid no. I've always tried to do the right thing. I don't have anything that I'm trying to hide or cover up. So I would say no.
Okay. And as I said, I do this to every candidate. If you have the chance to listen to my next future interviews, they're going to get the same type of question. There is nothing specific for you.
No, I can appreciate it, and I'm glad you're attempting to vet the candidates. I think that's very important.
Because at this point, I want to say to the listeners, it is not just about today's broadcast that is going to be important. Maybe, I know a few thousand people will listen to the show. That's fine. But maybe people may forget. What I do about this show, the goal for me is to put on record everything we said today. It's going to be on YouTube. I'm going to release a specific interview just with your interview, like I will do with every candidate. And then at that point, my job is done. I want the listeners and the voters of Mohave County to decide the best way they can. And when the right person will be elected, or at least the new sheriff will be elected, and in the years or in time, they will be held accountable with these interviews. They can see exactly how they perform and how far they went away from the original statements or commitment. So that's pretty much for me the point of today's interview. Now, I received also some emails. As I told you, I opened the emails. This show is being recorded, but I try to make it interactive as possible through Facebook. So I got several emails. I removed the email that they come down to personal life. As I said, it's none of my business. I'm not going to ask anything that is between, when I keep families away. There's something that we should have some rules. I don't want to bring anything familiar in these things. Okay, we keep to public business. So I already said to the listener, I'm not going to ask things that they're going to be like on National Enquirer. This is not the type of the show I do that. Okay, but I need to come down to things that they ask me, and I repeat exactly the way I was told. Okay, at least I was asked. Okay. First of all, one caller, or at least one email, asked me, why did you wait for Sheriff Jim McCabe to step down before you decided to run?
Okay. I really wasn't waiting for Jim McCabe to step down as much as I was waiting for the right candidate to step in.
Okay.
I had earlier aspirations of being a sheriff or being the sheriff. And quite honestly, Luca, towards the end of my career, I was looking forward to being done. I did not like the direction the department was going in, and that's why I got out. Once I was out, I realized very quickly that it wasn't the job or the people that were concerning me, but the continued negative direction the department went in. So I realized I had an opportunity to come in and make the changes that I couldn't do while I was working there. Okay, good. Okay, just very good. Now, I have another question, another email. And, I don't know anything because, as I said, I'm not part of the sheriff department, but I think maybe somebody has some some experience about it. Has something happened between you and McCabe? Question. Has something happened between me and McCabe?
Yeah, I don't know how to interpret that. You tell me there is something. I did. The email was pretty much straightforward like that. So I don't know how you want to interpret. Maybe some disagreement or something that you don't get along with him. I don't know. How you want to interpret this?
I'll say very openly that Jim McCabe and I have never seen eye to eye.
Okay, that was a straight answer. Okay, that's interesting to know. Very good. Now, the final question, pretty much I said I remove all the other things pertinent to private life because I don't care about those. Have you ever taken time off for anything, and why?
Have I ever taken time off the job for anything?
Yes.
Yeah, over the course of 26 years, I've taken plenty of time off. You know, every employee generates personal time, and I've taken time off for vacations. I've taken time off for the birth of some of my children.
Okay.
Took time off to remodel, and I've even taken time off just to regroup.
Okay.
Like I said, 26 years is a long time in law enforcement, and sometimes we need to get away from it when we can.
Okay. So I'm just curious because I got 2 emails about that, and I don't know why. I'm just trying to figure it out. Anything for medical reason?
Yes, I've taken time off for medical reasons. I've had some surgeries. I did take some time off. Boy, you really challenged me. It's been a lot of years here. Yes, I've taken time off for medical reasons and personal reasons.
Okay.
That's why the time is there. So I have never abused my time off.
Okay, good. I'm just asking. This is the section I leave open to everybody. By the way, when I'm going to have the next candidate, I invite everybody to go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com. And you don't even need to disclose your name. You know, I keep completely anonymity. You can send me an email with no name. My email is zanna@zanna.us. And as I said, if you keep the questions professional to business, to public business, we don't go into private life, I will ask exactly what you listeners and potential voters want to know. That's my job. That's all I can do. Okay? Very good. Now, the last thing I wanted to ask you, this is something about, we have a few minutes. You heard about the Department of Defense program 1033, the militarization of police in general all over the states, all over the counties. And exactly the program 1033, we had a little bit of interaction a few months last year or so with myself, honestly, with the Sheriff McCabe regarding this use of this MRAP. It's armored vehicle that we found by accident that the county had. And my question was, why do we need, first of all, such a big, almost out of place, it's not exactly Iraq here, piece of hardware, and more important, how much it's going to cost us, and what are the conditions that we're supposed to keep them. That means I ask also to see the contract to exactly explain the rule of engagements and how you can keep this piece of hardware. Do you support, first of all, this Department of Defense program called the 1033? Number one question.
Okay, well, there's a couple, and I'm not 100% familiar with that. I can tell you that there is a government program that does supply surplus to law enforcement agencies. It might be the one you're talking about.
Yes.
And I think it's a valuable tool. I think certainly there are things that we can get to save our taxpayers the expense of having to buy it outright. Pertaining to that vehicle, I have no idea why we got it, and I don't. I remember thinking to myself, why are we paying to send it back? We paid to get it. We paid to send it back. It just seemed like an incredible waste to me.
Yeah, but did you ever read the contract, how to pretty much the conditions, how we could keep this armored vehicle? Because there were some specific conditions. Did you ever have a chance to read the contract? By the way, I never have a chance to have the real contract, but they gave me a document that was from the Payson Police with the Department of Defense. So the question, did you ever have a chance to read exactly the contract for the condition?
No, Luca, under the administration I was working for before I retired out, I wouldn't have had access.
Okay, because let me tell you, the utilization of property, according to the federal government, the property received through the 1033 program must be placed into use within 1 year of receipt and utilized for a minimum of 1 year, unless the condition renders inusable. So that means pretty much that the county had to use this piece of hardware. We're talking about something that it's a beast. Okay, it takes a lot of gallons to keep them going, and I don't know how they could justify the use. And when I asked that to the Sheriff McCabe, and he said, "Please, Sheriff, tell us how you're going to comply with one of the points of this contract, because this is going to first of all cost us money, and why should we?" How can you go around the county to justify that you're using this? And there was no answer. And then they realized probably there was something that, we don't have. Because honestly, I will tell you something. If we had something that has no string attached for our defense of our county, from any type of scenario, that would be something to consider. But when something sounds like free, not is free. Our federal government doesn't give us anything free without a string attached. You know that. Then we need to comply with all sort of other things, also giving away our sovereignty. So it's just something that, I know it probably wasn't your part of your information that you had, but something to consider. Liz, I want to thank you very much for your time. And as I said, I'm here just to give you the chance, all of you guys and girls, to have a voice and to be on record. So one more time, please, your website where people can reach you out.
Very good, Luca. Again, thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed talking with you. My website is www.schuster, SCHUSTER, 4 sheriff.com. And please come visit it, join the Schuster team. We really believe that I'm the right person for the job, and our movement is growing, so we'd love to have you on board.
Very good.
And Luca, thanks again for your time.
Very good. And guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States with the FM network. And I said again, anybody running for any office, especially in Mohave County, you're welcome to be here. Now, don't forget, this show is not NPR. We do not steal your tax dollar, but we ask politely. So support the sponsors of the show. And if you want to support my broadcast specifically, you can go to one of my websites, Zanna Art, ZANNA.com. And you see what I do for a living. One of the things I do, I write songs. Download any of my songs. Don't be a cheap bastard. For just 99 cents, you can support this show. Thank you very much. Don't go away. Ready for our number 2, where we talk about guns and training.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on United States.FM network. There we go, guys. This is luca-zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. Second hour. I don't want to say this is my favorite hour because I like all the hours. The first hour, after all, we talk about freedom, about our rights, how we can take them back. And, of course, information and news coming from America and also from around the world. We are facing a global tyranny. The second hour is something that normally I enjoy even a little more. Because most of the time, I really exercise it. I don't just talk about it. Sometimes we broadcast from the range, shooting range. But, the Second Amendment is not about a sport for me. It is not even a hobby. For a hobby, I can look at the stars and count them. That's what I do. But for me, Second Amendment is a commitment. It's a right, of course, but also is a lifestyle. That's why I live in Arizona. That's why I really believe, I've been looking around the world, everywhere. If I had to live today in Arizona and go anywhere around the world, there is no place I would go. And I could go anywhere I want. I could travel anywhere I want. And I'm not trying to say this because I want to show off, but it's true. I could go what I want, everywhere. But guess what? I love here, Arizona, especially in the middle of nowhere. Why? Because in this place, in this state, human beings, even of course we are semi-slaves, we are not completely free. We understand that. Just look at your property taxes. After all, you're paying the rent, and there are many other reasons. But among all the imperfections that we have, I believe we still have a basic human right that nobody else around the world, maybe another state in the United States, but I think here even better, is the number one state. It's called the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. And why I'm so excited about this? Because I tell you something, I come from Italy. I was born in Rome. Let me tell you, in Italy, like in the rest of Europe, even in the almighty Switzerland, the people say it's great for the gun rights. And don't get me wrong, it's much better, of course, than all the other countries in Europe. But it is not a right. It is a privilege granted by the government. That's the bottom line. Nothing really changed since the time of the emperors, of the Romans. The kings, the emperors, then they have the little, priests and family stuff, the nobility, and then you have, of course, the enforcers, the soldiers. But the rest of the people, especially the slaves, that were the majority of the people, they didn't have right to have a gun. Of course, there were no guns there, to have even a sword. Okay? And then things continue, during the history with the popes and the kings. And now, of course, in the modern times, it is just another form of socialism, pretty much controlled by the bankers. But that's another story. And still, you don't have the right. So I'm here, and I'm proud to be here, and I want to remind to the world that we in Arizona, we don't have just the First Amendment, but also we have the Second Amendment. Now, when I talk about this hour, normally we talk about, of course, training, and I will talk to you the final part of the hour about some training ideas. I always try to bring you the best guests, instructors, professional people, and of course also about some deals and where to find the cheapest stuff for the best quality stuff. But for me, the most important thing here is also remind to ourselves that we have this right and we exercise it, not just when we go to the range to practice, but also when we go in front of our public servants, who are supposed to be the officials, they want to call them. I call them public servants. I don't care if they are working for the federal government or for the state government or county government. They still work for us. And we remind them that we can go on public land here in any Arizona city, and we can exercise our First Amendment and Second Amendment on the open, carrying it legally, open carry, and also concealed carry, rifles, handguns, shotguns, and everything in between. That's the bottom line. That's where I'm coming to. I'm coming today. I have a special guest. Sometimes I get so long to get to the point. I know that. But I really like to remind this. This is an important, introduction. I have a special guest, a man that I've been following many, many years. I never really met him in person. I don't think so. By being knowing about him probably since I moved to Arizona, at least 10 years ago. He's a guy kind of, imagine like a lonely cowboy facing the odds surrounded sometimes by, let's say, a superior number of enemies. And in this case, I tell you, most of the times, I know that he lives in Tucson, Arizona. It's a different part of Arizona, kind of more wild, more surrounded by illegal aliens. But this man by himself is to the ground, exercising his First and Second Amendment many times, reminding to the oppressors, reminding to the illegal aliens, so anybody who was trying to infringe on his First Amendment, that he had his Second Amendment. And I tell you, what I've seen on video about this man, you could never have done this type of, defending your right in a legal way in any other part of the world. That's why I think he's still around and he can speak about it. And he has a great event that I want to help him out to promote. His name is Roy-Warden. Roy, let me shut up, otherwise I'm going to make everybody fall asleep here. Are you there?
I'm there, and you're doing a great job. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to you and to your listeners.
Thank you, Roy. Give me a little introduction about yourself, because, I always follow you all these years, but maybe the listeners don't know about you. I know that you are pretty active. You've been facing alone many times, maybe with a few other friends, but still, in minority in the city of Tucson, challenging the local government, challenging legally, and also try to defend your basic rights. Tell me a little bit about your background, who you are, and what have you been doing the last 10 years or so?
Well, I think the best thing to do is just to start with the last 10 years and not go back to the stuff before, because it takes us too far away from the central issue tonight.
Okay.
And 10 years ago, April 10th, 2006, there was going to be a very big rally in Armory Park by what I call the pro-Raza or the open border people who demand amnesty and demand continuous open borders, and basically they encourage the entry of illegal aliens to come into this country. And so these are political groups, left-wing political groups, and the local one here in Tucson used to be run, she still runs it, she used to be Pima County legal defender, a Pima County government employee.
Wow.
Her name was Isabel Garcia, and she is the one that runs the local pro-Raza or the open border movement here in Tucson. And they had 15,000 people that marched into Armory Park making all kinds of noise and all kinds of declarations. And basically they're saying things like, white people go back to Plymouth Rock. We're going to take this country over. We're going to form a new country called Oxlan, and that would be the 10 westernmost states and Mexico all combined together. We're going to create that, and that's the way it's going to be. And so we're asking all these people to come in from Mexico. We're doing all this stuff to create this new nation of Oxlan and all of that. So we had declared in the news the day before, sent out a press release that we were going to come to Armory Park that day. There was basically 15 of us, and we were going to burn Mexican flags in open defiance of this movement and what I also believe to be the policy of the Mexican government, which is to send poor people here so they may earn money and send money back to Mexico. Mm-hmm. In fact, Mexico earns as much money from what they call remittance money sent home by illegals working here, as much money as they do from the sale of oil. Actually, more now. That was when oil was at its peak.
Wow.
Then it was equal. Now the greatest source of foreign revenue in Mexico is the remittance money sent back by illegals.
Wow. I remember that, by the way. I just moved at the time. I was just fresh, a refugee from California. I remember that. And I was following you on the internet. Of course, at the time we didn't have Facebook, but I got news from different sources. There was like American Border Patrol website and, of course, emails. And I was wow, I was so excited to see, think about it, 15 or a handful of American people there standing alone in a minority, because unfortunately their neighbor is kind of different demographics, and the government, of course, has already been taken over, at least the local government, by these illegal aliens. But still, you had the chance to stand up and exercise your right, something that I remember when we were in California, for example. I was there at Baldwin Park. I'm sure you're familiar with the event. It was Baldwin Park too.
Absolutely.
I was there, and we were about probably the same number, 20 maybe of us, surrounded by 800 or so of these. I want to call them, I don't know. I don't want to use means. I just want to call them what they are. They're pack of cowards. They're pretty much, they think they can use violence, and they will use violence when they can. But the point is, we were unarmed. And the only reason why we didn't get killed, because I believe in God was with us. And, of course, we also had a battalion of police try to help us out. And, of course, they would try to make a big deal like, we cannot exercise anymore our First Amendment. Otherwise, they're going to send us the bill home. But regardless, the point is, I was so proud when I moved to Arizona, because I say, you know what, finally I don't need to beg for the police to stand up for my right, my First Amendment right. And I look at you, and you set the example in a great way, especially starting that time. So I wanted to thank you officially that I never done before.
Well, thank you. And I want to make a great distinction here, because many times people speak of these people saying, well, the Mexicans are doing this. All the marchers in Armory Park, just about all of them, were American citizens who also, many are Hispanic, many were so-called white, but the point is they're all basically pro-communist open border people. Mm-hmm. I don't think there was one Mexican illegal there. These people have better things to do than to march in the street demanding rights. They're working, or they're committing crimes, or they're doing whatever they're doing, but they don't make up these movements. It's not illegals themselves. It's pro-communist American citizens.
If I can,
radical people from college. These are the people that run these groups.
Yes, Roy, and it's true. Unfortunately, we have a problem that it is deeper than just illegal aliens, because the indoctrination in our school system is like a few generations away. This didn't start today. But I tell you something. Coming from originally California, and I I saw on the street Los Angeles and different situations that we were doing our little peaceful protest. There is a mix. There is a big part of this apologistic, brainwash white kids that they think, they need to, I don't know what happened to the brain, but that's okay. They're free to be stupid. But there is also another part, and it's truly, honestly, what you were saying before. They really believe in the Azatlan movement. They believe this sort of mythological, not even Hispanic, because technically, they think about Mexico, but Mexico, if they really know their history, they've been, let's say, conquered by the Spaniards. So they got a little bit of, they got a little bit of a mess in the history, but they believe in that violence. And I saw, I'm probably you familiar with there was in front of the 4th of July, the very terrible video that I posted many times were 4th of July 1996, I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong, in front of the federal building in Los Angeles. You remember that video that former Barbara Coe put together there with Glenn Spencer?
I'll tell you I don't, but I'll say this about Glenn Spencer. Glenn Spencer is one of the pioneers. He was involved in this movement well before anybody else, and then later came the Arizona Minutemen with Chris Simcox and Jim Gilchrist.
Yes,
these were the pioneers of this movement here in Arizona. And so when you speak of those things, I don't know all of the earlier history. I know most of the history starting from 2002 here in Arizona, but stuff that predates that I'm not too familiar with, but I want to learn more as I have a chance to learn more.
I want to send you the video, and I want to remind, I will post again the video of 4th of July. Was exactly in front of the federal building, and I also re-uploaded that video. Was produced by America, of course, by Glenn Spencer, and the footage was given by former late Barbara Coe, a great activist from California, unfortunately gone. And the bottom line was that there were many seniors, there were probably about 100 seniors or so, American people, they were trying to challenge and protest peacefully in front of the federal building where a judge was overturning a proposition that was going to was going to stop to give a special aid, a special, let's say, tax dollar to illegal aliens for education, okay? So they already did the proposition, already passed, but then the judge overruled. Okay, the worst part was that if you see this video, the act of violence of completely like you feel like you are in the middle of a war zone, okay? American people be surrounded by young punks, and many of them, I tell you, they were illegal aliens. That's the fact. There were also, of course, the whitewashy, stupid kids from college, but there were a lot of people that they really were there. They were Agustin Cebada speaking with his Mexican accent, and he said, "Yes, we are here from the Brown Berets, and we're here to take over, and we will kill you." As simple as that. And they did beat them up. And the sad thing was, American people couldn't defend themselves. And there was an order of stand down from the, let's say at that point, I think it was Clinton. Yes, and the police did not intervene. And you can see on the video, men and women be bloody. I'm talking about bloody, being beaten up with sticks, punched on the ground. And I always was saying, I would like to know if that was happening to people in Arizona, how all that even started it. And I don't think would have started. That's why I really say, I need to get out of this state, and I want to be still a free human being, and I want to have the right to defend myself and exercise not my First Amendment, but also my Second Amendment. And I remember you, when I saw your photos, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 10 years ago, you had this sort of a little legal perimeter that you used to set up for your special defense area that you feel like threatened if somebody crossed that line. Am I right or wrong?
But here's how it actually came down. The park was absolutely filled with the pro-Raza open border demonstrators, screaming and yelling and carrying on. And there were, in the northern part of the park, right near the street, there was a old shuffleboard court, a cement shuffleboard court that was old and it hadn't been used for years as a shuffleboard court. They have to be maintained. Mm-hmm. And on that shuffleboard court was about 30 or 40 police officers who had kind of gathered there. So what we did when we entered the park, we merely just walked into where the shuffleboard court was, where all the cops were. And guess what? The cops all immediately left. And after they left, a crowd of people surrounded us.
Wow.
They were called but this is good. They were called peacekeepers, and they joined hands, and they faced out, and they had their backs to us in the center, and they're basically trying to keep peace, keeping those people away from us. They said, we don't want any violence, we don't want any of that, so they surrounded us and joined hands, and now we're in the middle of this circle, and in the middle of the circle, we're some of the pro-Raza demonstrators, and we're a whole lot of press people, and they weren't going to leave. And so we were in a pretty bad situation, and I went up to one of the cops, and I said, look, I says, we need some protection here. And he looked at me and he laughed. He said, well, Mr. Warden, you wanted to be here. You said in the media you wanted to be here. Let's see how long you can stay.
Wow.
And he's laughing at me. He thinks it's funny. Yeah, his name was Lieutenant Timpf, Timpf. And so he tells me this. And so I said, guess what, pal? And this is all a matter of court record. Testimony on this has already been offered in court, and so it's a matter of history. And so I pointed down to my fanny pack, which I carried around my waist, and hanging from my fanny pack was a concealed weapon permit. And I said, you see that? And he said, yeah. And I said, you know what it is? He says, what? I said, it's a concealed weapon permit. All of us are packing heat. And we talked this over before we came today, that if these people try to rush us, we were going to stand our ground and we were going to defend ourselves with our firearms, as we have a legal right to do. So if you don't get in there and protect us and they attack us, we'll put 30 or 40 people in the ground today. We'll make it look worse than what Wyatt Lurp did at the OK Corral. And when we're done shooting, you'll be standing at your review board, and they'll be asking you, why did you let it happen? Why did you not protect that group? Do you see where you're at, Lieutenant Timpf? And I tell him right to his face, and you wouldn't believe the hatred, absolute hatred in his face, because now he knows he has to make a decision. He defends us or we kill a whole bunch of people. And so about 3 seconds later, he's on his cell phone, and he's calling people, and about 5 minutes later, we hear this military hup, 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 and all of a sudden, all these police officers in formation, they're marching, and they come right into the circle. They enter the circle, and they expand the circle out. Basically, the peacekeepers are expanding out. Now we have room. We're in the middle of a phalanx or a circle of peacekeepers who are backed by police officers, and because they know if they don't protect us, we'll start killing people. And so the police.
Let me stop you 1 second,
out.
Roy. Let me stop because I know what you were doing. When you say killing, you weren't going to kill anybody. You were going to defend your life and your rights.
Yes.
Because
defend our lives from deadly assault. That's it.
Exactly.
We have a right to defend ourselves.
Exactly.
You see, I'm 68 years old. I was younger then.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to knock me down and kick me in the face, that's a deadly assault to me.
Exactly.
I don't have to wait for it to happen. I can defend myself from it as it starts to happen.
Exactly.
And that's the point. You have a right to stand your ground and defend your life.
Exactly. This is my point, because I want to be sure, I can already see the people that they are, try always to distort words. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a regular guy. But in this case, from the way I look at this, you are there to defend your life and to defend your right. And if somebody tries to harm you, you have the right to defend yourself. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. And it's very simple. People get very complicated about it, but you have the right of speech, which we were exercising, and we had a right to defend ourselves, our Second Amendment right. And even though I'll tell you truthfully, none of us had weapons. All I had was a concealed weapon permit that was visible. But I told him, we'll kill people to defend our lives if you let it happen. So protect us or stand before your review board. I put him in an impossible situation, and he went ahead and called, and we had reinforcements, and we were protected.
You know what is sad? A police officer, a peace officer, what should be, of course, now they want to call themselves law enforcement. Supposedly, and I know it's true, he took an oath, not just to, of course, our United States Constitution and Bill of Rights, and also to our Arizona Constitution. And among those is to defend our rights, the people's rights, and among those life, and among those the rights, of course, to exercise our basic rights, like, for example, our freedom of speech or redress our grievances. So he failed you right there when he did not want to defend your right. Regardless he agree or not, he doesn't need to agree. He's there, he's a paid peace officer, he's supposed to defend everybody's rights, your rights and also the rights.
Can I
Yes.
Can I interrupt you here? Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Yes, of course he's trained that way, but he was given explicit orders by his commanders, who in turn got explicit orders from the Tucson City Council.
Exactly.
And they said they figured we'd just be pushed out of the park. They didn't dream we would put them on the spot like that. They were told not to defend us.
Exactly.
They were told not to protect us, and so he was following the orders he was given. And this is quite normal in police practice. They take an oath of office, but then when they get hired, when they're in the academy, then they get hired by the police department, and their commanders tell them, okay, you learned all that fancy stuff in the academy. Now you're going to learn to do it the way it works in the real world. We're going to give you orders, and you're going to follow them. And if you don't, you'll look for a job elsewhere.
Yes.
So it's nothing particularly evil. It's just the natural way things are. When you get on the job, now things are different than what you were told when you were in school. And so they were told not to defend us, but they never dreamed we would put them on the spot. They just figured we'd be pushed out and nobody would hear from us again. There wouldn't be any flag burning, and there wouldn't be anything. They didn't dream that I would threaten to protect our lives with deadly force.
And, I'm so glad. I tell you, I know at the time not many people, but I heard, maybe a little too extreme, maybe it's pushing it too much. I say, you know what, right on. And I tell you why. Because, rights are like muscles. Or you use them or you lose them. And you proved that day, that, you can be 1 against 1,000, doesn't matter. In the state of Arizona, even with the little problems that we have and things that we can improve, of course, but we have still a basic right that nobody else, try to do that stuff in California, New York, in any other states. I don't even know Nevada, seriously. In this state, even when the government goes out of control, because that's very much a reason they should be all sued. There was also some legal action you were trying to do, because all this city council and this member of the city, they are really evil people to give these orders. And I tell you, I know that man probably wanted to take care of his pension, but guess what? Shame on him, because he took an oath. And as a man of honor, you took an oath, you fulfilled that oath. And if somebody's trying to endanger your life or try to infringe on your rights, he had the obligation in front of himself, of his soul, and of course also about the oath that he took to defend you, and says, sorry, City Council, I'm the policeman here, and I'm defending this man's rights. But I'm glad at least it worked out right. All I'm saying, thank God, few of you guys, 10 years ago or so, did what I think really set an example to the rest of the state, that they can become corrupt as much as they want in the police officers or in the different type of city council. But here in Arizona, we are the last line of defense, ourselves, our people, with the people. So tell me a little bit now after that. I know you had some, I don't want to go too deep into the legal ramification. I know you had to face a different situation, or probably you sue also the city. How ended up all this mess? It was like a soap opera almost. I remember it was very long.
Well, let me continue just for a little bit, and then we'll get on to what's going to happen Friday.
Yes.
What happened is after that, Isabel Garcia and a bunch of other people, they went down and they complained to the city council because they said, we had a permit to be in the park, and we don't know why you let Roy Warden come in to a place where we had a permit. So we want you to arrest him. And so they came out 2 days later, and they arrested me.
Yes.
And I was charged with arson. I was charged with an arson subset, reckless burning, assault and battery, and basically that was it.
What
Those
did you
three
assault?
charges. Altogether, that was a year and a half in jail I faced, and I had to stand trial in Tucson City Court.
Who did you assault? I remember that you didn't touch anybody. What happened?
No, there was a little bit of pushing and shoving, and it doesn't matter what actually happened. One of the reporters that I actually said was encouraging him to leave the area, because if the place is filled up with reporters, all of the space occupied, we can't start a fire and burn a flag. Public safety. You see, you may have a right, but as a practical matter, you can't exercise that right if you're in the middle of a crowd. You have to have space, and the space was half filled with reporters. And so I told them, you get out. They said, we're the press. We have a right to be here. I said, you don't. I said, you're simply news reporters we are demonstrating. You get out of here, because if we set this flag on fire, you're going to catch on fire and burn up. Now get out of here. And they wouldn't. And so I called the police over. Hey, get these guys out of here. The police came over and told them they had to leave. All the media left, and now we have the room we need to give our speeches and burn those flags in open defiance of the pro-Raza marchers.
Yes,
you see,
yes.
that's how it practically came. And then later, even though the police at the scene, they didn't see any crime at all, the police officers on the scene, but later their bosses had charges filed with the city attorney, and they decided to prosecute me. And so 3 months later, I go on trial, and I was facing 1.5 years in jail.
Wow. What happened? I remember that you're still here, so
okay.
how ended up?
We had a trial. I put on evidence, and I didn't have a lawyer to represent me then, so I defended myself. I put on evidence, and the judge said not guilty.
Yes.
And he said not guilty because I was the only one charged, but there was one other person who burned a second flag that same day. And they're trying to say that we did damage to the Armory Park, to the shuffleboard court, reckless burning. They created damage to the property. That's what they were. They weren't charging us with flag burning. They were charging us with damaging the property by virtue by the effect of the burning. And so the problem they had was two people burned two different flags on the same spot. And they couldn't tell. Was it Warden's burning that did it, or was it this other person that we haven't charged? Was it them? And so now they got this impossible situation, and now we have police officers on the stand who are giving testimony. These were officers that were on the scene, and I'll tell you quite frankly, they were pissed off that those charges were filed against me. Yeah. And so they gave very, very, very wonderful testimony.
Wow, excellent. I'm so glad that you did not take any plea guilty. Sometimes they try to put you in fear, and then of course people say, okay, I need to plead guilty for a misdemeanor or something less.
I just simply knew better. I knew better, and I wasn't going to let them push me around. Yeah. But you know what happened after that? There was so many bad reports in the newspapers about me being a racist and being a violent person and a killer. It ruined my business. I had a business as a legal document preparer. I lost all of my clients, and eventually within 6 months, I'm homeless and living in the streets.
Oh my gosh.
And I have no income. I'm homeless. I'm living in shelters. I was reduced to that as a consequence of that first event.
I'm so sad about that. I didn't know this final part. I knew that you were able to prove the point and to make it through, but I didn't know about this. Now, I'm sorry about that. Seriously, are you retired now? What are you doing? I don't want to go too much into personal.
I've got retirement. I've got veterans benefits, which I didn't have then because I didn't know how to get them. Didn't know I was entitled to them, and now I have Social Security. So now I'm doing relatively well. Okay. I've got $1,000 a month in income and a subsidy, a one-bedroom apartment. Okay. And so I'm living extremely well compared to where I was living 2 years ago. Even.
Wow.
Up until 2 years ago, I was homeless, and it doesn't mean I'm living in the street. I had to stay with friends. I had all kinds of unsatisfactory relationships in order to survive. But I was able to live. But now I'm on my own. I've got money coming in, my income. I've got my own place. I'm doing extremely well as far as that.
I'm so glad, and I pray for you because unfortunately, there's always a price. Like during our revolution, our history. All the founding fathers, all the people who fought, for our principles of this republic. They put everything on the line. They put everything, and they lost, many of them, everything. Not just, of course, their lives, but also they lost their wealth. Their homes were burned. And you see now, many people that they're trying to do the right thing. There's always, it's very tough. It is very tough. So I'm glad that today we're talking.
Some of the worst part of it actually came from right-wing people, Republicans that had businesses that use illegal labor for construction. Yeah. They were very angry at me, and Republican Party spoke out against me, and they made me a pariah. I expected, of course, the left-wing people not to like me, but even worse were the local Republicans who said, well, he's a nut. He's stirring up all this trouble with the Mexicans. And they didn't care. None of the Republican Party then cared about open borders. Randy Graff did. He was a political candidate,
Yes.
but the party rejected him. It wasn't until Obama was elected
Yeah.
the Republicans started to stand up and say we're gonna be against this open border stuff.
Yeah, I remember
it was
that.
Obama's election, but they didn't care in 2006.
Of course, Bush was pushing it, and so all the
Of
senators.
course, Bush was pushing it.
They wanted the North America Union. Listen, let's go back now to. I'm glad that this is important, listeners, because when we talk about Second Amendment, you understand why it's so important. This is not for hunting. This is not for shooting at targets. This is not even to look cool and put a camo on. This is about to exercise and defend your basic human rights. And we are in America, and more important, we are in the great state of Arizona. And I challenge anybody around Europe to even try to do something like that. And I wish and I pray you could. I wish everyone in the world could exercise this right. I'm so sorry. I feel sorry for my brothers and sisters in Italy that they are completely unarmed, disarmed, and so the other friends that I have in Germany. I wish you would have this right, and I hope that maybe you're gonna get it. But this is why we are so important to talk about it, because this is not just in the books or in the movie. This is real. We can do it. We have to do it.
Yes.
To keep it alive.
Yes, we can. You're right. We can.
Yeah.
Here in America, we can.
Exactly.
And let me just add one more thing.
Yes.
The purpose of an armed citizenry with the Constitution, the very greatest fear in the minds of the people living there before they formed the American government and had the Constitution written, they feared standing armies. They knew if we created a permanent army, then the people would be subjected to the tyranny of their own army. And so the point was, we the people as individuals had a right to carry arms because someday we may have to defend ourselves against our own government, our own tyrannical government, because governments tend to become tyrannical. It's the natural process by which people, when they become involved in government, they get carried away with their power. This is natural. The evil wasn't just England. The evil was government, and it was a British government oppressing us, but they knew once we formed our own government, we would be subjected to tyranny. And so we had the right to keep arms to defend ourselves against a tyrannical government.
Exactly. Now, look, at the time, you need we had open carry, of course, but we still needed like a concealed permit. Now, we don't need any permit because the permit is our right, our Second Amendment right. So that means now we can conceal in the state of Arizona the last few years, at least 6 years, I guess, with our constitutional carry law that was passed in Phoenix. And you don't need anymore a permit to conceal a gun or shotgun, whatever you want. All you need to be is to be a law-abiding person with no criminal record. That's it.
Well, you're right about that, but it's not just Arizona. It's actually sweeping the country.
Yes.
More states now have open and concealed carry than ever had before. This has been voted in, and one of the biggest movements, one of the biggest purpose behind this is women.
Yes.
Women that are tired of being beaten up and tired of being raped and all of that. They are the biggest ones buying weapons and the biggest ones behind the movement for everybody have a right to buy a weapon. As you know, in California, there are all kinds of restrictions because the laws are different in different states. But most of the other states have passed laws. Open carry and concealed carry is really the normal in many, many states. It didn't used to be, but now it is.
Yes, and this is why we are winning. We are pushing back. They're trying to completely destroy our rights, and I think finally I really believe the American people, we are reaching at least a critical mass. For example, before it used to be just Alaska and Vermont. Now we have Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Kansas, Maine, Wyoming. We have constitutional carry states in these states, okay? If you're a resident in many of these states, you don't need any permit. All you need to do is to be a law-abiding person. That means you have no criminal record, and you can conceal a gun without paperwork. But remember, we got, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking about to the listeners, especially for the listeners probably from around the world. I have a lot of friends that listeners from Switzerland, from Germany. I mean, the moment that you need to ask for a permit to a government entity, you have no rights. It's called a privilege, because the government can say, I don't give you that permit. It's a permit. And guess what? We have a right. That's the bottom line. And I'm so proud to live here, and I wouldn't go anywhere else around the world just because of this reason. Now, let's talk about what's going on, because, I forgot that I didn't know that you were almost 70. You're getting up there. You look still great, at least on the photos. But, man, time passes for everybody. It was 10 years ago last time. So you're getting still I'm pretty impressed with you. You're still getting out, and you have some great idea that you want to try to put together for this coming week. Tell us exactly what is the event, the name, or whatever you want to call it, where and when.
All right.
Go ahead.
It's called the Justice for LaVoy Finicum Rally. It's a rally that's a consequent of what we think is the execution of that rancher up in Oregon a month ago. Actually, it was January 26th. He was rather than arrest him, they shot him down. They've got a film of this, and we've all seen this film on the internet. The film of this guy with his hands up in the air, and the 9 agents that were surrounding him, they shot him down like a dog. Rather than arrest him, they executed him.
Yes.
So we're having a march of a protest, and what I did on my announcement, I said, on this day, angry American citizens, some carrying what the media calls semi-automatic military-style assault rifles, will march on the federal courthouse in Tucson, Arizona, and submit a petition for redress of grievance to their government, expressing our anger about this act and demanding action be taken. We're going to have a loudspeaker. We're going to have all kinds of speeches, an excellent loudspeaker, by the way, and there's going to be some political candidates there, but mostly it's going to be angry Americans, some carrying guns, expressing their anger to their federal government about what appears to be the execution of LaVoy Finicum. And so I announced that, and we've had a tremendous response. In fact, this is the ironic part people don't understand. I got a call from the U.S. Marshal in the federal building.
Wow.
He's somebody I know and I've worked with for many, many years. He said, Roy, we would like to have the Tucson Police Department here because part of this will be concerning them, and we would like you to give us a briefing on what you're going to do.
Wow.
And so Thursday, 2 days ago, I had an hour-and-a-half meeting with these folks. We went in, we sat down, we turned our tape recorders down, and I will tell you, it was very cordial. They were very polite. They made it very clear they didn't want me to do this, but they also made it very clear they knew it was our right. They weren't going to interfere with the exercise of our right.
Wow.
They just had a few simple requests, and I'm talking about the U.S. Attorney and the U.S. Marshal and federal officials and police, Tucson police officials. The reason why Tucson was there is very simple. In the federal courthouse, there is a very clear line as you enter the property, a big plaza in front of the courthouse. There is the public sidewalk, which is Tucson city jurisdiction, and then once you cross that line, you're in federal jurisdiction where the marshal has control.
Yes.
We have two separate jurisdictions there. And so the marshal they have a rule at the court, a local rule that says you cannot bring firearms onto federal property or onto that piece of federal property. And so he said, we want to make sure nobody steps on the federal property with firearms.
Yes.
And so I said, we've already issued an order. We've already issued guidelines, a code of conduct. Don't step onto federal property. Stay off federal property and on Tucson city property. And before you go, study the Arizona revised statutes, study the Tucson city codes if you need to. What you don't want to do is you don't want to handle your weapons. Keep your weapons holstered. Keep your rifles, if you got them, on your shoulder sling to the rear. Don't stand there holding your weapons because everybody's very tense about this. Keep your hands off your weapons. Don't fight. Don't throw rocks, and don't shoot anybody. And if you do that, they don't care. They're going to protect public safety, and we get to give our speeches. What they don't want, and what I don't want, is any violence to break out.
Exactly.
Likely to come from somebody in our crowd, some guy wanting to be a patriot, and he's going to start a fight or he's going to shoot somebody. That's a very real possibility, and so we're concerned about that. But these federal officials and Tucson city officials, they were very cooperative. They're somewhat angry at me because they're tired of me creating all of this paperwork and problems for them. And I told them, I don't care. It's your job, and so we're going to do our job. We expect you to do your job.
Exactly.
If you see somebody pull out a gun in our crowd and is going to shoot somebody, take him out.
Yeah.
Shoot him. Grab him and arrest him if you can.
Yes.
Don't let violence happen. We don't want violence. If you see somebody breaking the law, take him down. But we won't break the law. We're not there breaking the law. We're there exercising our rights protected by law to be there. And they all understood that.
Yes.
No argument at all. These are government agents. They all understand that. And so they're going to do their job on Friday. We're going to exercise our rights on Friday, and we're all hoping it comes out well, and I'm sure that it will.
Yes, and this is so important. First of all, everybody's responsible for their own actions, whatever they say or whatever they do. I don't believe in any type of collective sense of guilt. Somebody makes a mistake or breaks the law, he's the one to pay. And also I want to say, the normal person that I know, I've been doing different things, not like this, but we do, for example, in Mohave County, I started a few years ago what I called the Thomas Jefferson walk in the park. Thomas Jefferson used to write a letter to his nephew, say, don't do a violent sport like playing with the ball, but walk with your gun, walk with your rifle. It's very good for your mind, very good for your spirit and your body. So that's what we do. We go in the park and we walk with rifles in friends, family, neighbors, and we enjoy. Always do it right. That means we know the Arizona laws. We know that we need to carry the weapon in a safe and also lawful way in the holster or with a sling. And we don't brandish weapons. That's the bottom line. And we also, of course, when you keep the weapon like that, the safety is there right now already. But at the point, I always worry about if there is, and sometimes can be, some, let's say, agent provocateur. And that can happen anywhere. There are crazy people that try to infiltrate or they try to maybe look people bad. Guess what? Too bad. Because first of all, you're going to face it from the law enforcement in this case. But I tell you, when you have a crowd, and I know that I've been many of these type of rallies and I never found any idiot. Normally people that come to this type of rally, they are law-abiding people. Otherwise, they couldn't not even carry a weapon, okay? Sometimes they're a little enthusiast, but I never found any person that ever committed any type of bad things. But let's say somebody is stupid enough to go being surrounded by patriots that I wouldn't do any stupid things if I was a bad person in that type of crowd. Let's put it this way, because don't just get it from the cops. You may also get it from people that they're there trying to exercise their rights.
Absolutely.
So that's the point. This is not like some sort of, unarmed crowd in Sweden, okay? I mean, I'm sure 80% of the people coming to their rally, they have something on them, and if they have to do it, they will use it to defend the peace and to defend the innocents. Great. I'm excited.
I've got some very unpleasant, one unpleasant thing to tell you.
Go ahead.
I've been contacted by two militia groups, Arizona militia groups and California militia groups, and they've gone online posting. Roy-Warden is a federal agent. He's leading you into a trap. He's leading you to an ambush. Don't go to his rally because you'll be killed if you do. This is what they've written on Facebook.
Wow.
This is what they've told people. They don't want anybody to come to the rallies. They think it's a trap, and they're just full of absolute nonsense.
Wow.
But that's what they posted. I'll send you I've done screenshots of the postings. I will send you that. People that are running militia groups, and they don't understand the way the law works. They're always saying, we have to overthrow the government.
Wait.
We have to violently but they don't even want to come to a rally wearing guns because they're afraid to. Okay. They're afraid to ever go to a place where they might have to use those guns.
Roy, let me stop you something. Let me stop you something. You say the magic word. Maybe I didn't, my ears are kind of tired tonight. Did I hear California?
There was one group from California, and I'm trying to think. I can't remember the guy's name.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, stop.
He's got a group.
Stop. Let's stop there. Scratch that. Who cares what the group from California tell us in Arizona what we can do? They cannot even tie their shoes without asking for a permit from the government, okay? So forget about that.
See, he was going to bring people. Originally, he tried to organize with me. He was going to bring 200 people.
Yeah, right.
And then I told him, I showed him some of the things I planned to say. He says, you're going to get everybody killed. I said, I've already said these things in many demonstrations. Yeah. They're legal and lawful to say these things. He says, well, you're going to get people killed. I'm not going to come. And then he told other people. And then somebody from a militia here in Arizona, he said roy-warden is crazy. He's going to get you killed.
Okay.
This guy doesn't know anything.
Okay, you know,
He
everybody...
doesn't know anything at all about any of this.
Right, everybody's coming to this event. I'm sure he's over 18. And if there are some minors, I'm sure the parents going to be with them. At that point, I always say everybody must use their brain. Everybody must look at facts, at the history of things and the people, and think, I don't think anybody can tell me what I can or cannot do. I can be there with or without the approval of anybody out there, okay? So the point is, all I can say, I know what you've been done all these years, and I know that you are a person that proven so far with facts, not with opinion, that you did not do anything unlawful, anything illegal. All you did, you weren't shy, for sure, and that's a good thing, to exercise your rights, to stand your ground the way we can do in Arizona. And I'm glad you had this opportunity to talk communicate at least with the federal government to let them know what are your intentions. It's always good to have a communication so there is no misunderstanding. And also the point that if there are crazy people, everything can happen. You are not responsible. Everybody is responsible for their actions. And I can say, anybody who wants to go there, especially if you live in the Tucson area or Phoenix area or anywhere you can. Honestly, I don't know if I can. I'm kind of far away, but I'll try to be there. But my point is, this is something so important because if we do it right, and we'll do it right, we can remind to the rest of the world why we see now Europe, for example, being completely invaded and really physically assaulted. Look in Germany what happened during the first eve night, mass murdering and also this mass raping and completely people being afraid in their own homes. They cannot even step out of their own homes. In Arizona, we can still be in front of the public, in front of what's supposed to be our government, stand up, exercise our First Amendment, and do it with our Second Amendment. That doesn't mean that we need to shoot at people. No, it's just a reminder. For me, the gun is a philosophical symbol to remind that we are not slaves. Because remember, world out there, slaves were never, and they are never armed. And the fact that we are that right, we are not slaves. That's the point. Of course, we have a lot of problems we need to take care, but that's beside taxation, we have much more rights here. That's the point. So I commend you for that. And I wouldn't focus on these people. They have their opinion, whatever. Let them talk. All I can say, I want to give you again the microphone to remind the date, the time, if you have a website or a Facebook page where people can gather more information or contact you. Go ahead.
Right. It's very, very easy. There's a Facebook page. I didn't put it up. Other people did, and they're very good about it. It's called Justice for LaVoy Finicum. Again, Justice for LaVoy Finicum. You can find it on Facebook. There's a lot of things posted there. It's a really good site. Secondly, the date of the event will be March 4th. That's next Friday, March 4th, in front of the Tucson Federal Court, or the federal court in Tucson. It's 405 West Congress Street. It's right off the freeway when you're coming down from Phoenix or coming up from Sierra Vista. It's a very easy exit. It's right there, 405 West Congress, and it will be between the hours of 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll be there for 4 hours.
Wow, you got more than 10,000 people talking about this right now on Facebook. Pretty exciting. And remember, we don't need a mob, 1 million people. Of course, would be nice, don't get me wrong. The point is, you made your statement 10 years ago when even just a man or an handful of men and women together, they can make a point just because they can. That's the bottom line. This is not about, of course, I wish we had 1,000 people. I wish we had 1 million people. But at this point, I don't care if it's 10 people or 100 people. The point is we can make a difference. And this is so important, especially in the time where the federal government is trying to completely try to confuse us or try to, lie to us that, we don't have a right. It's just a lawyer can change anything or a Supreme Court can change anything. No, it can't. That's our right. And we'll hear and we stand in front of them to remind them. Of course, this is important to remind to the people that they must have accountability because LaVoy Finicum, you don't need to be, a Magnum PI investigator or some sort of a genius to see it was murder in cold blood. So we need to find a way at least to speak about it and to keep putting pressure about it. But also at the same time, it's a great opportunity. That's why I wanted to invite you during the second hour. That's why for me this is more important than talking about now tactical reload, emergency reload, and all the different things that they are very important, of course, how to shoot straight. But I'm talking about the idea why we have this right. And we got to exercise it. So I pray people will go there, and it can be a great opportunity. The weather's going to be great. So far, we have a great spring. It's not too hot. I know Tucson normally gets pretty warm early, but how is the weather right now? What type of weather do we have down there?
It's going to be 85 to 90. So it's going to bring water. It's going to be hot. Bring water. If you need sunscreen, bring sunscreen. So that those are important things.
Yeah.
But mainly, we're going to let everybody speak. We're going to give the microphone to everybody to speak. And I've only made a couple of prohibitions in terms of the speech. I said, I don't want to hear any racist stuff. I don't want to hear any white supremacy stuff.
Yes.
This is not a forum for that. If you want to speak, you can say those things, but not through my microphone.
Exactly.
I can't tell you what to say, but if you say racist things, I will turn my microphone off.
Yeah, it's your microphone.
So
after all.
that's the only rule.
Exactly.
Only rule.
And, as I said before, it's been proven. This is not an opinion. I mean, there was a famous talk radio host a few years ago, 5 years ago, I forgot his last name, that it was some sort of, let's say, always try to incite racial and try to say very tough, very criminal things, like kill the judge, do that, do this. Then guess what? He got arrested. And then when he was in court, he said, by the way, I work for the FBI. And the FBI said, yeah, he works for us. And the judge didn't care. He still put him 5 years in jail, okay? So the point is there are, unfortunately, let's say, agent provocateurs out there. And this has been proven many times, especially in these groups that some of them, they call themselves these white supremacists, whatever. They infiltrate it. They infiltrate everybody. So I wouldn't be surprised somebody's trying to pull a fast one, but guess what? That's why we got to go there, because the good people can make a difference. And just with the presence, they cannot do what they want to do. That's the bottom line. So good job, and congratulations for the idea. And please keep me posted. And, I'm exactly the other side of Arizona. It's Mohave County, and I'm trying to clear my stuff a little bit with family situation. But I really would like to be there and finally probably even at least meet you in person after all these years. That would be great.
Well, that'll be terrific. And if you can bring somebody that knows how to use a video camera, do that. Or if you want to use one, maybe you'll be busy doing other things. You're certainly welcome. We'd love to hear you speak. You can speak.
At least I think the video camera is the most important weapon we have, because we got to use it every day. We can use it every day, thankfully, because we got to put everything on record. First of all, to share it, because we want to show to the rest of the world what we can still do here in the great state of Arizona. That's so important. That's why it's like a virus. It's a good virus. I call it the antivirus, anti-tyranny. That's why when you start to show this type of activity, think about, for us, could be normal. But think about, Roy, you were living right now, for example, in Italy, or maybe in Sweden, and you see this video of people, law-abiding people, okay? Not people, criminals, talking about people that they have a regular life, and they go in front of the federal government building, lawfully, exercising their First Amendment, something that in many countries in Europe you can do. If you just speak up about things that the government doesn't approve, like let's say you don't like the Muslim invasion, you're going to get arrested and fined right there. But then do it with the rifle back on your shoulder, or maybe have a gun on your hip. Right there. That's almost like people think it's a movie. I have some friends of mine, when we're doing the Thomas Jefferson walk here in Mohave County in the park, they thought there was some sort of a movie. Is that part of a movie? No, that's real. Okay? That's what we can do in this state. That's why I want to have people with cameras, do the videos, share with the world, and more important, show that we are still here and we are not going to go away. And LaVoy Finicum, we must completely find what happened, a real investigation. It must be a real due process to see exactly what happened. And everybody's innocent until proven guilty. Even LaVoy Finicum is still innocent because he never had the chance to go to a trial, number one. So for me, they killed an innocent man right there. And then we got to find out who are the people and why they did that, what they did. So anyway, excellent. Listen, I had to let you go. And I'll be in touch with you in case I cannot make it. But if I can, I'll let you know anyway. In case I cannot make it, I hope I'm going to hear from you again. and I would like to have the follow-up of what happened, okay? You promise me that?
I will, and if we're successful, you'll see it on your TV that night.
Excellent.
Very simply.
Very good,
Yeah.
Roy. Listen, my prayer for you, and I appreciate everything you've done all these years, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don't
You
go
have
away.
a good night.
Thank you. Okay, this is luca-zanna. I know we're supposed to have talked about the latest deal on ammunition and, some techniques I wanted to talk to you about, especially dry practice technique with the handgun. I thought this was too important, way too important. Now, listen, the hour is almost finished. We will go for hour number 3. We'll talk about love. We have an interesting human case. An older man is a senior man, is a veteran, and he has some really serious health problems. And at the same time, think about it, they want to throw him out of his house. And the bankers, talking about illegal foreclosure, they want this guy to live under the bridge. I'm no lawyer, I don't know everything, but I think I tell you something. We got to listen to what he has to say, because this is, after all, why we're fighting all this. We must be remembering that we are human beings and we want to help each other, okay? This is not the government. We are here as humans. We do charity. We want to help people because we want, not because we are forced. That's number one. So I'm here for the show. This is the purpose. So please listen to this gentleman. Then I have a final part of the final hour. It's kind of funny. I got my brother from Italy. Can you believe that? You want to be ready about crazy accents? Here we go. Anyway, listen, and don't forget, if you want to support the show, please don't be cheap. I need your help. This is not NPR, okay? We do not steal your money with the tax dollar. Go to my site, at least one of my sites. I go to Zanna, ZANNA.us, and for just 99 cents, you can download any of my songs. Don't go away.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Okay, listeners, as you know, I want to use this opportunity to be on the air, not just to talk about what I think or what happens according to my views, but also I would like to give you the opportunity to share your views, your experience, your life, your joys, and also your nightmares. That's the purpose of the show. It's a tool. It's a tool to communicate till we have this opportunity. I don't know how long I'm going to be on the air. Seriously, normally what I talk is not exactly friendly for the establishment. I have no masters. My only masters is my God. And I don't need to share with you. It's personal. But more important is the truth. What I think is the truth. Now, today, I want to say something. I received this instant message from my friend Ronald O'Donnell, that is an activist in a sense that is very active, is not afraid, is not shy when it comes down to exposing and fighting the banking cartels, especially when it comes down to foreclosure, legal foreclosures. And there's a lot of things wrong there. Don't get me wrong. I know, you're supposed to pay your bills. I understand. But also banks are supposed to do the things right. But regardless, he told me that there is a gentleman that is facing a very harsh repercussion, if you want to say, from some law enforcement, and maybe he's losing his house. I don't know all the details. We're going to find out right now. And he's going to tell us his side of the view. But as I said every time, whenever I bring somebody here, I want if somebody mention a name or another side, let's say, I always give the other side the opportunity to be on the air to rebuke and defend himself. Everybody has that right. So let's start. First of all, I'd like to know the gentleman. I'd like to know exactly what happened to him. And let's find out really who is the gentleman. The gentleman is Larry Anderson. He's a 78-year-old U.S. veteran. Okay, and seems that really that he has some serious problems where he lives in Northern California. Larry, are you there?
Yeah, look, I'm here.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. And I know that you've been listening to my show, so you're a listener, and I appreciate that. Now, tell me a little bit about you. Tell us about you, who you are, where are you, and what's going on with your life. What problems really you're facing here?
Yeah, well, Luca, Ron has been helping me out. Ron O'Donnell, he's running for state senate, and he is the one that discovered, after I've been screwed around, that the probate court granted my home to me free and clear of any mortgage lien, and that was in 2011. But I've been through Bank of America and their subservicer, Reverse Mortgage Solutions, had been terrorizing me and threatening to file foreclosure. In fact, they did file foreclosure finally several times, and driving me to crazy. And they even sent thugs to my house to intimidate me. Tried to break in the house saying they had a court order when they had no court order, and then they refused to identify themselves. And we found them a couple of days later cleaning out a house across the street from my doctor.
Wow.
It's been a real nightmare. Okay. I've ended up I had a couple strokes and lost vision in my left eye from all the stress.
Oh my gosh.
And I've been diagnosed with, I just had a cancer operation last week.
Okay.
So I think all the stress is just getting to me.
Can I ask you something before we start to go into details, First of all, you sound like a senior person, like a man. How old are you, if I can ask you?
78.
Okay. Where exactly, in which part of America are you located? Where all this happening? Where are you?
Well, we're in Lake County, California, which is north of San Francisco, about 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's the poorest county in California per capita income.
Wow.
Looks like going back 50 years in time.
Wow.
So it's a very strange kind of place, but because the cost of living is lower, a lot of retirees move up here.
I also heard that you're a veteran. Did you serve? When did you serve? I'm just curious. I'd like to know more.
Yeah, I was serving in 1958-59 time frame.
Okay.
And that was an interesting time. I don't know how much time I have to talk, but.
Do you have a family with you, or you're living alone there? Where are you?
I'm living alone now.
Okay.
My son used to live here for a while, but he is working in Amsterdam right now for Deloitte. He's an account manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a little bit something, if I can do.
Excuse me.
No problem. Go ahead. My first question is, without getting too technical, but to try to explain for the average person like me. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly what happened to your home, okay? I want to understand more details. So, when did you buy this house exactly? How long ago?
Well, actually, this house was purchased by our mother. After my father died, he wanted a family to have a safe home. Mm-hmm. And so, from the proceeds of his estate, my mother bought this home. And initially it was in her name in 1989.
Okay. And
then she deeded it to my younger sister, 3 years younger.
Okay.
Because Mom thought my sister would outlive me because I had several strokes.
Okay.
And was not expected to live. From I had a traumatic brain injury in the military and a back injury and so on, and basically I got 100% VA disability.
Wow.
So anyway, I'm still alive. My sister, though, unfortunately, she got cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And had dementia and an aneurysm, and she was in a nursing home when somebody sold her a reverse mortgage on our family home, and they left me off of it by mistake. The salesman was from Seattle Mortgage Company, the originator of the deal, and somehow Countrywide was involved in it, and then Bank of America, and now Reverse Mortgage Solutions, all different entities. And when my sister died, Bank of America was the servicer, and I contacted them, and I told them about the situation, that she was ill and did not have capacity to contract. And we had hospital reports. We had testimony from 2 of her treating doctors. And initially, there's a good guy with the bank. I mean, all bankers aren't bad, but they have some real stinkers. This one guy, his name was Ben Floresca. He was really understanding, and he said, well, Mr. Anderson, on a reverse mortgage, when the person who signs up for it dies, the bank takes it over, and it's sold.
Okay,
to pay off the loan.
Let me stop you a second.
But he said, in your case, because your sister lacked capacity, we will not foreclose. We will investigate it and see if we can work something out.
Okay, let me stop you 1 second.
Some relief, but
let me stop you 1 second. Let me stop you 1 second, because I'm no lawyer. Yeah. I'm not a real estate guru. I'm just a regular guy. I'm trying to understand. So what happened? That correct me if I'm wrong. Your sister, she applied for a reverse mortgage because she was over 60, I guess, right? I mean, that's what she did.
Yeah, she was over. Yeah, 62 is the age limit.
Okay, let me understand. And as I said, I don't know much, but let me understand. So, for what I know, in my little ignorance that I know, when you are a senior person, you can apply for this type of mortgage. Now, means that the bank or the loaner, in this case, the entity, is going to give you some money, and the condition is that when you die, the house goes to the bank. Am I right or wrong?
Essentially, yeah. But if there's equity in it, the equity can go to the heirs. So, when your sister died, was in her name. She applied for this reverse mortgage, and at that point, is there any equity or not? There was any equity or not that you know? Well, to be honest with you, the situation was there was no equity when she took out the loan, and the loan was fraudulent in the beginning because the house was only worth. Well, she had a loan. She had a mortgage of $140,000, and she wanted to do a reverse mortgage to pay off that one from Quicken Loan, and the house was only worth about $200,000 at the time. But to do a reverse mortgage, they need about 50% equity.
Okay.
In it to make a reverse mortgage pay.
Okay.
And so the bank did a fraudulent appraisal and overappraised the house by about $40,000, so she could qualify for the loan.
But I'm not. This is not like a show like John Ramsey or things like that. I'm not that type of expert. I don't know all this. But the point is, your sister, though, she was able to collect the money that she was hoping for, correct?
No, actually, she only got $600.
That's it. I mean, out of all this reverse.
But she did not have to pay any more mortgage payments.
I see now. I see. She
that was the advantage that she had.
So at least she could stay without paying the mortgage. How many years she lived in this house without paying mortgage? I'm just curious.
Well, this is the problem with reverse mortgages.
Yeah.
She didn't know. She was not competent to sign it, and so on a reverse mortgage, if you don't live in the house, if you're in a nursing home, for example, or you no longer live in the house, the bank forecloses on it. And Nancy was in a nursing home.
Okay.
And she was sold the mortgage while she was in the nursing home.
Wow.
When she realized it, then she moved out of the nursing home to stay in the house to protect it against the doctor's orders. So by signing the reverse mortgage, it really messed her life up because she did not get proper medical attention, and she died.
How long after she signed the reverse mortgage died? I'm just curious.
2 years.
That was
2 years later.
Really short time. I mean, listen, I tell you something. This is from just a personal thing, in general. And this is not you, of course. Your sister did this reverse mortgage, and probably this is something we can all learn just listening to your nightmare or your sister nightmare. Nothing is free. nothing is free. Whenever you think they're going to give you something, look also the other side, what they're going to ask you for, And I tell you, and I really believe that whenever we go into these offices for mortgages, we better have a double pair of eyeglasses, to read everything correctly. And if we are not sure, we better have a lawyer spend a few extra $100, because that nightmares can happen. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I cannot tell you anything like any type of advice, but I feel sorry, of course, for you and also for the nightmare that I'm sure your sister she went through. Now, exactly what's happening to you? They want you out of there, right? They want to get possession of that house, correct?
Well, it's really been bizarre. Initially, the Bank of America guy is Ben Floresca. He said, "Well, I think we try to work it out so you can keep your home." And so we went to we went to a congressperson, and we went to Barbara Boxer. We went to Sharon Lundstrom, the head of FHA.
Okay.
And we even got referred up to Sean Donovan, the head of HUD. And they said, well, they don't want to kick an elderly veteran out of his family home. It's been our home for more than 20 years at that time. And so Sean O'Donovan's office got involved, and they said, we will offer Bank of America a waiver so that you can stay on the original loan.
Yeah.
Even though now it's very upside down because the prices of the houses crashed.
Yeah.
After 2008, the housing it went from $200,000 to appraised value of $75,000.
Wow.
And they said, but they initially HUD offered a waiver to Bank of America, and Bank of America ignored it and filed foreclosure. And then I got Barbara Boxer involved again. She filed a complaint with OCC, the Treasury Department.
Okay.
And Bank of America came back again and said, oh, this is in 2010, and they said, oh, we're sorry, we made a mistake. Bank of America will reverse the foreclosure, undo the foreclosure, and we will fund a new loan to Mr. Anderson. And also, the prices had really crashed, so that would have been a big advantage for me in terms of equity. And then they promised to do a new reverse mortgage to me, and then they didn't. They never did it. They sold servicing to another outfit called Reverse Mortgage Solutions, and Reverse Mortgage Solutions, I explained to them there was an offer on the table Bank of America had agreed to take out a new reverse mortgage from Generation Mortgage, an offer on the table. And initially, Reverse Mortgage Solutions, a guy named Connell, said, that looks good to us. Let us check it out.
Now, let me ask you
about
something.
2 weeks later, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Please continue. 2 weeks later, what happened? Tell me.
Yeah. He called me and he said, I'm sorry, but Reverse Mortgage Solutions is not the investor on it. Bank of America is the investor, and they refuse to go along with the original deal, and they want us to foreclose. Or you have to refinance at a conventional mortgage. Well, I'm 78 years old, and I've got cancer, and I'm dying, and they want me to go get a loan, on the house we've been living in for 20 years after they screwed it all up. So then they kept threatening me to foreclose on it. And about a year ago, they sent two thugs out to the house.
Where are they?
They demanded entry, saying that they had a court order to come into my house and photograph it. And I asked them for proof. They gave me nothing. They wouldn't give me their names, anything. I did get a work order, but it had very little information on it. And I sent that to Ron O'Donnell. And then that's how I met Ron. I met him on the internet, and he helped me out with this stuff. And then Ron discovered that in 2011, the probate court gave me the house free and clear with no mortgage, because no proper creditor ever filed a claim in probate. But it doesn't matter. These guys are crazy. I've got a foreclosure going on right now, even though I've got a court order saying I own my home free and clear.
Now, I have a question. Do you have a lawyer?
I finally got one, yeah, but it was really hard to get an attorney that would handle this thing.
I know, but I'm sure there is an attorney for everything, and I can say I hope you got a good one, because here, I really believe. As I said, I don't know anything about the laws and the things, but I'm sure that a bank not is always 100% black and white. That's a fact, and we know so far that there's been many cases that banks have been proven to do very unlawful things, completely against the law, with robo signatures and things that supposed to never happen. Listen, I think there is a law for everything, and I hope you're going to have a lawyer that can at least bring you a little bit. We're not asking for much. After all, we're talking about a few more years of your life to have a place, a roof, to stay in peace and dignity. That's pretty much all you ask, I guess, because after all, let's say you can get part of this reverse mortgage. You're going to stay there in your place, and then after, when you leave this planet, this house is going to go back to the, I guess, according to the reverse mortgage deal, to the bank, correct?
Well, that's the confusing part.
Tell me.
The bank, Reverse Mortgage Solutions says they have the right to foreclose, and there's a valid lien on the house. But the probate judgment order says I have the house free and clear.
Wow.
And they gave me all the equity in it based on the appraisal report when my sister died.
Interesting.
Because no one filed a claim in probate.
Okay.
And so the court is saying I have it free and clear, the probate court. The other guys are saying that the original lien that was on the house that my sister signed is still valid. And then something else. So I didn't know much about this stuff, so I did securitization audit with Securitization Audit Pro, and then another one with certified financial loan auditors, forensic loan auditors. Both of those audits came back and said this is absolute fraud, because the original loan that my sister signed, for one thing, is not valid because she did not have capacity to sign the loan.
Okay.
So the loan is broken from that point.
Okay, at least as I said.
Then they also said that it was a table-funded loan, and Ginnie Mae guaranteed the loan, paid Seattle Mortgage Company 100% on the loan, so the loan is paid off. The note has been probably destroyed. They can't find the note. They can't find the original investor because the chain of title is so messed up in the securitization process. And I've been pleading with Seattle Mortgage Company, Bank of America, Reverse Mortgage Solutions. More than 10 qualified written requests were sent to each of them. None of them ever answered properly, and they will not tell me what the chain of title is. They refuse to give me a copy of the original note, and according to the auditors, they probably don't have it anymore. It was destroyed in the securitization process, and the fact is the original creditors are probably, who knows, some company in Hong Kong or Iceland, or who knows who has it, but the original creditor who has the power to foreclose cannot be located.
Okay, listen.
And since
let me stop. It seems like a very detailed story. This is just a little radio show, and my goal is only one: is to create at least awareness, first of all, to other people before they sign any type of reverse mortgage. Get all the legal assistance you can, and don't go there by yourself in the cage.
Be very, very careful.
Exactly. Don't go there in the cage of the sharks, number one. Now, number two, I feel sorry for you. Even if I don't know you, I think, you sound genuine, and I hope you can get help, at least through an attorney that can give you the facts. As I said, there are a lot of things seem like to be on your side, but as I know, I don't know. I hope an attorney can find out and give you some justice. Meanwhile, me as a humble little radio show, what can I do to at least, you can put out a message. You can say pretty much whatever you want. Something people can do to help you, even just to say, listen, I want to know more about your case. Do you have a Facebook page, or do you have something that people can call you if you want to, if they can give you some help as an American, as a human being, as a veteran? I mean, you seem like you're really asking for help. You know, you want to stay in a house. You don't want to go on the streets. You don't want to go under the bridge. You don't want to go in an hospice. You have a home. You got some years of your life. You want to still have some dignity, and you're also sick. What can we do?
Yeah, well, I guess I could give them the information on the contacts that are giving me hell. Bank of America, mainly reverse mortgage solutions, and then their attorneys that are basically foreclosure mill attorneys who have no knowledge of the case. They just act like machines. I'll give you my phone number, Luca.
Okay, go ahead.
If somebody wants to know more about this kind of thing,
okay,
I can tell them about it.
Okay, and I hope you know exactly, maybe somebody that is an attorney, or somebody has time and some energy to help you out, and knowledge, of course, they can contact you directly. That's for me the best thing I can do, and learn about this and try to help you out. Please go ahead, give your contact, and people may call you, you know that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. It's 707-277-9041.
Okay. Very good. Listen, I pray for you. You know, seriously, I hope you're going to get some help. And maybe I would like to know how this ends, okay? Maybe you can call me maybe in a month, and I'll really be happy to know you got good news. You can stay
we got a court date on March 25th.
Okay.
Right now, coming up. It was to kick me out of my house.
Wow. Okay, listen, I pray for you for the date, and maybe you can give me a ring after the court date, okay?
Yeah, we'll be in touch. I appreciate it, Luca, so much.
Thank you. My prayer for you. Thank you very much. And
thank you very much.
And this is exactly as I said. You know, I know many of you may be driving and think, you know, who cares? You know, maybe he deserves it, or maybe I don't care. I have a house. Guess what? If that's your mindset, don't listen to the show. The show, after all, is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. And I tell you, without love, without humanity, you're not going to have guns. You're not going to have freedom. We got to try to help each other. That's the bottom line. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm not even saying that this man 100% right, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not there. I don't know all the facts. All I know that though he seems sincere, he needs help. He's an elderly person. We are blasting and giving away billions and trillions of dollars around the world for illegal wars, or for, aids to foreign countries. I mean, seriously, billions to Israel, billions to Palestine, billions to North Korea, and we cannot even keep a veteran in our home, in his home. I mean, even the banks, we know that they are based on a fraud. The fractional reserve system is a fraud. The Federal Reserve, of course, the mother of all frauds, is there. So let's try to have a little bit of humanity, compassion, at least listen to this man that on top he has some serious health conditions. And if you can give him a call, and maybe you know an attorney, or maybe, I don't know, just give him a prayer, maybe send him a little cake, something, make his life a little more decent if you can. We are not the government, thank God. We are human beings. The government, what they do, normally they force you to share. We share because we love, or out of free will. So let's share something. Let's share some love. That's the bottom line. If you have any other situation and you're a listener, you have a drama or something bad it's happening to you, as I said, I'm not a specialist. I'm not an economist. I'm not a lawyer. But I want to give you the microphone. And of course, if you go on the show, you bring names out. Everybody that is brought into the, into the conversation, they are free to call me back, and they're also free to be and defend themselves. That's pretty much. So if you want to go on the show, go to lovegunsfreedom.com, lovegunsfreedom.com. You will find my email on the homepage. Shoot me an email, I'll call you, and I'll bring you up. Now, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. John Luca-Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go. This is the final hour and the final part of today's show. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. Guess what? Today is surprise. We didn't do for a long time. I like to talk about love, the final hour. That means recipes, food, pasta, coffee, things that I like, things that brings me a little bit of peace of mind and relaxes me. Because sometimes I get very stressed out after I go through all this. After all, the show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. In the final hour, normally I used to do, and I still do, of course, things that they try to bring us back to our humanity. And the idea is to relax, to find some peace, so we have a chance to relax and resting for another day fight. Now, today I'm going to surprise you. Maybe I never told you, but I have a brother. A brother that is from Italy, of course, like myself, but now is in America too. And is in a very interesting business. He's into the olive oil business and also some other businesses. But let's start with the olive oil. And right now he's in Florida. And he's on a mission. His mission is to bring the best oil from Italy. And I wanted to share some information because, I always, when I cook and I normally do the recipes on the air, I always use oil. But it's very important, especially in the Italian cuisine, that we use the best ingredients. Because after all, the Italian cuisine is a very simple cuisine. I would like to call it poor compared to other cuisines like the French cuisines, that you have a lot of ingredients and different things that you can somehow camouflage, the flavors. The Italian cuisine has very basic ingredients. But if you don't have the top qualities for these ingredients, the final result is going to suck. So that's why I really believe, and I stress out, I want to bring you the best ideas and best knowledge how to find the best ingredients. Now, speaking about olive oil, I got the expert. My brother, his name is Marco, and is in Florida right now, and we're going to ask him some questions about the olive oil. What is the best olive oil? What are the dangers that we need to look for? Frauds, unfortunately, a lot of frauds, and different products that they are coming now from different parts of the world with mislabelings. Marco, ci sei? Are you there?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Marco Zanna.
Ecco.
And I'm from Rome, and now I live in Miami Beach, and I have a company that imports products from Italy. But my goal is to import the true made in Italy. Because in this country, a lot of products are not very true made in Italy. And my slogan is BFI, BFY. Best from Italy, best for you.
Okay, it's funny because normally I know that people make fun of my accent. Now I can see how probably I sound.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Another sound is my Italian-American accent. True made in Italy.
All right.
My accent.
I sound almost like Anglo compared to you, I guess.
Yeah.
Very good.
In my field, we are talking about olive oil. It's very important because olive oil is the king of Mediterranean diet. So it's very healthy. But when we are talking about quality. And I want to explain this time, Wake Up America, because I know that you have a song, Wake Up America, but also for olive oil, Wake Up America, because a lot of products that arrive in the United States are fake, so are not true made in Italy, are only packaged in Italy. When we are talking about olive oil, it's a mix of olive oil coming from Mediterranean area, Morocco, Spain, Tunisia, low quality, cheaper quality, so it's not good for your health.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about one of the company that, by the way, you sent me a nice sample. I really like it. It's called the Frantoio Gentili. That, by the way, I'm out.
Yes.
So whenever you can, send me another bottle. Tell me a little bit about, because it's an interesting company. It is a many generations company, 4 generations, and it was since 1820. Yes. Tell me a little bit about, this is one of the the main companies where you get the oil from Italy. Tell me about the Frantoio Gentili.
I choose directly this product in Italy. And one of the companies that I very proud to import is Frantoio Gentili. It's a family production since 1820. So from the rolling hills of Farnese, small village at Lazio near Tuscany, this family produces this olive oil and true made in Italy. and the taste of this olive oil is coming from that area. So from that specific area, that specific olives, so it's genuine product.
Okay.
And
Marco,
yes.
I heard on the news, reading the Italian newspapers, that there were some scandals, like companies, big companies, famous big Italian companies, that they were caught that in their oil, they were pretty much using oils coming from Morocco and other part of, not from Italy. They were frozen in big bulk quantities, and then they labeled them like Italian oil. Did you hear about that?
Yes, and recently, a popular CBS news program, 60 Minutes, talked about this situation because the 80% of extra virgin olive oil sold in the United States does not meet the standards for extra virgin. So we are talking about that the big company put together a cheaper quality of product coming from Morocco, Tunisia, Spain, and export in the United States this kind of product. So, and you have in the store a not very good product, not extra virgin olive oil, so not healthy.
Okay, let's explain something, because I'm sure many people know, but maybe not everybody knows. What is the difference? They are like a scale. From the top, extra virgin olive oil cold press, and we go down to the bottom. Can you give me a little bit the generic, let's say, levels, quality? What is the top level of oil that you can buy, and what is the lowest that you should stay away?
So, first of all, we are talking of the first quality is extra virgin olive oil, first cold press. This is the best quality that you can find in the market. And
how is made? How is made? Because people maybe say, okay, but exactly what means cold press? What means first press? I mean, I know that probably many people may understand, but explain exactly how this oil is made. The extra virgin olive oil first cold press. How that made?
So, the olive oil, you have to pick up the olives, and until the 24 hours, you have to go to the frantoio and only one moment. Luca, ma te puoi stoppare per aggiungere?
We are live, Marco. We can't stop. Okay, the frantoio means
because
what?
No, a posto perché ma non puoi mettere un attimo una parte, sto cercando una cosa.
Speak English. Okay, so you were reading now. I see. Let me help you.
No, sì, but I'm looking for something. No, devi stoppare questo. Non puoi farlo.
No, we don't stop here. It's all live. Okay, let me help you out. Okay, while you're looking for whatever you're looking. Il frantoio is the place where you bring the the olives, and you like a big grinder, okay? That's the place. So what, Marco, you're trying to say, I guess, the first level, the best quality of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, first cold press, is when you get the olives and you bring them to the frantoio and you press them. That whatever comes first out of this, with no any type of heating system, no chemicals, just the first press, correct?
Yes,
okay.
This is the situation. So the important is when you buy olive oil, the knowledge is power. So you have to know, and sometimes when you feel you taste the olive oil, you can feel bitter and spicy. But bitter and spicy are two indicators of the quality of the presence of substance, but are particularly healthy for your body. You have only to educate your palate. So. And my goal in the company is not to modify the product for the American customer. It's to explain the product to the American customer. So the same product that you can find in Italy, I import here, and I introduce this product in the United States for the American customer.
Okay, so this is the top olive oil. Now, second level, after extra virgin olive oil, first cold press, what do we have after that, graduatory coming down?
Is virgin olive oil.
Virgin is not extra virgin? Extra virgin olive oil?
Non extra virgin, we have a virgin olive oil, but important. So in Italy we use first of all extra virgin olive oil, first cold press. The other kind of olive oil that you can find in the United States, like pure olive oil or light olive oil, is nothing. So is good for condiment, maybe it's okay, but no contain and no quality product, no healthy part, because only extra virgin olive oil have now is a word, oloropain, maybe something that what is it, oloropain? But oloropain is an healthy part of extra virgin olive oil that you have only in the first cold press extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
So the other product is not good.
So what happens,
for condiment is okay.
Marco, when you have the other lower products, for example, like olive oil, just olive oil, means that the same olives, they've been pressed many times.
It's not the first press, it's the second, the third, so it's gone. You have a lower quality, but no good olive oil.
Yeah, and then on
not
top,
healthy.
What they do, they also start to use chemicals and heating system, lo riscaldano praticamente queste olive, and chemical, usano sostanze chimiche to press more oil out of these olives, correct?
Yeah.
And that's the problem, because you start to also get not only the lower quality of oil, but also you're going to start to get some chemicals probably used in the process. So that's something very important. Now, people may ask, why do I really need olive oil? After all, especially in America, there are many oils, like, canola oils and corn oils, whatever, sesame oils. Why you think olive oil is better quality and is better for your body than all these different let's say, oils, like as I said, the corn oils and all these oils? Why do you think olive oil it's better for your body? What does it really do to you?
Okay, I can explain my idea, but also olive oil has been used for thousands of years in Mediterranean cultures. So the ancient Greek knew of its power to heal wounds, and eventually they used it to light or lamps or cooking and beauty. So also in the Bible you can find that the olive oil, the olive trees, so is like a divine tree, because it's the tree of life. Yes, I found also Thomas Jefferson wrote the olive tree is surely the richest gift of Eden. So it's Thomas Jefferson. Wow. I'm not sure. Thomas Jefferson.
Hai capito, Marco?
Yes.
Pure Thomas Jefferson, very good. So
yes, so because I know that you know Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson is my hero.
And I found this for you, Thomas Jefferson.
Very good.
Tree is surely the richest gift of heaven. So we are talking something of very good and healthy.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, is it good
but
that
when we are talking about quality
for the cholesterol and also for the blood pressure and for the arteries is very important, and also if I can add,
very important.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very important. It's very important for all the age, for everybody. And I suggest to use my product, but the olive oil that I import raw, so not for cooking.
No.
It's perfect for fresh salad, tomatoes. You can do caprese, mozzarella, tomatoes, twist basil, a little salt with my olive oil. It's perfect. So
okay, let me give you now another thing. Since we talk about you import this, and this is a disclosure, this is true. I'm trying to help my brother here to share this great product to everybody, especially in America. Now, you have two companies that you represent. One is the Frantoio Gentili, that is very good, is from around Rome, in Viterbo area, on the hills of Viterbo, and it was created in 1820. That's a very interesting company.
Yes.
Then you have another one that is called Prince Pignatelli, that is even more ancient. It's like a prince. In Italy there is still princes somehow around there. And this was created in 1669. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me.
Because we are talking about an old family. Prince Pignatelli is in 1669.
Yeah.
So, because in my also way to do the business, not only import the product, but I import the Italian culture. So if you go online, my customer go online, my website, bestfromitaly.us, you can see where I come from this product, because also I use it go in the summer in Italy, and I show to the customer everything. So the frantoio, the owner, or the person that work in the facility. So it's the direct contact with the American customer with the facility in Italy. And also discover the land. So Prince Pignatelli is an old family. We can find also Pope in this family, and they produce extra virgin olive oil coming from a different area, from Molise. Molise is a small area in Italy, and the olive is different from the previous one, from Frantoio Gentili. So this olive oil is perfect for another kind of use, maybe for another kind of recipe, for fish, because it's like a wine. When we change the area, we change everything. We change the land, we change the olives, and we change the tasting. Yes?
Exactly. So it's not the point is not every oil tastes the same. Every oil is like the wine, is a different flavoring.
When we are talking, when we are talking about quality, the change is different. The taste is different. For the company that used to sell a lot, they do all the olive oil the same because they blend some olives with a low quality, and always is the same. For the standard of quality, high quality, the taste, if we change the area, is different.
Very good.
And also Prince Pignatelli, yeah.
And congratulations, beautiful site. I like this new site you did. The bestfromitaly.us is really nice. I like it. You got beautiful photos of Italy and directly from the plants of the different families that you get the oil. One is I see both, but I was looking at the photo of let's say what is his name, the guy from Viterbo with the beautiful olive trees that you got there. I mean, it's pretty beautiful photo. These are all people can see exactly where the oil comes from. You know, the Isola Farnese, the hills of the Isola Farnese, Frantoio Gentili is very nice.
And also I have a Facebook fan page very active because a lot of customers here, when they met me, it's good olive oil. Thank you for your olive oil. Wait. I am a reporter, but you have to tell if you want to my fan page to Romolo Gentili because Romolo is watching you, so no problem. And a lot of customers send me testimonial on Facebook, and it's very beautiful. And I have some customers that during the summer went to Italy and went to the Frantoio, and they met Romolo Gentili. It's very beautiful and good.
Very good. I see that. And also I was reading some of the comments that you have testimonials, all the different testimonials from the Gentili, testimonial from Pignatelli. And, I'm a testimonial too because you never gave me the Pignatelli, but I got the Gentili oil and I really like it a lot, especially with bruschetta when I do. I know people call it bruschetta here. Anyway, bruschetta, it's the grilled bread with garlic that you can dress up in different ways. And I tell you, that's the way you can really taste the oil when you don't have much other ingredients. It's simply just bread, grilled bread with garlic and oil and salt. You can really see and appreciate the flavoring. Tell me about, you got also a new product that it is about always made with the principles of the olive oil leaves, but it's something that is like an health supplement, like an health food supplement. Tell me about this new olive leaf extract.
So I talked to you before that olive oil is very healthy. It's the king of Mediterranean diet, but the tree is the tree of life. Yes. So, and the olive leaf, the leaf is very important because you can find the oleuropein that I told you before in a quantity superior. So, but I would like to explain maybe another day only about olive leaf extract because it's very important. So today, focus is olive oil for your fresh salad, bruschetta and caprese.
Okay, very good. All right, allora sentimi, listen, thank you very much for sharing this information, and say one more time the website where people can find out if they want to try one of your bottle of olive oil and give it a chance, because I always say, listen, after all, you investing not just for your pleasure, but also for your health. And the best way is to find, the best way to cure ourselves It is true food. After all, we are what we eat. If we eat garbage, what we become garbage. So eat good food. Start with some good olive oil. And let me say something about for people that normally say, I don't care. I use canola oil or I use corn oil. Let me tell you something. The problem is one. Today is 2016, and everybody should be aware, first of all, of the GMO. GMO that now most of the corn is GMO. Is proven. They got now official university results and also lawsuit. They prove that the GMO creates cancer, creates sterility. After just few generations in mice, in lab rats, after a few generations, they have all these rats coming out with tumors in the intestines, and they are completely sterile. So I would even touch this canola oil or this corn oil, especially if it is not completely GMO free. But I tell you, let's look 1 second at, many people, especially in Italy, they used to live a long life, or at least they used to be very active even in their late years. And I tell you, one of the things I really believe is the component is not just the DNA, but also is the diet. If you don't eat too much saturated fats, especially meat, but you keep it with fish and, legumes and, more important, olive oil, it's like almost a lubricant for your arteries. And this is not me, a doctor. All I do, I can read and I can use my brain, I see many people in my family, they all died very old. And I tell you, I remember even grandfather Bruno, you ricordi Marco? I mean, he died late time, he was almost 90s, and he used to eat a lot. But I always used to eat, every time he used food, he always had garlic and olive oil. I remember that, every time he used to add something. Okay, Marco, I want to give you the floor, the last 60 seconds, whatever you want to say.
Okay, thank you for your passion of my English, and sorry. And remember, best from Italy, best for you. BFI, BFY. This is the slogan, yes.
Ok, va benissimo. All right, grazie.
Mine,
okay.
It's okay.
Aspetto una boccia d'olio. I'm waiting for at least a bottle of oil, okay? That's my paycheck today. Thank you. Okay, listen.
And send me, in the future, send also you a picture with the bottle. And
I'll do that. Okay, I'm going to dedicate a song now to the olive oil and to the good cooking and the good food from Italy. Even I'm a proud American, I tell you, one thing I like to bring with me, it's I like Italian food, and I like my coffee, and I like my olive oil. And this is something that is going to stay always with me. Of course, I'm an American, and this is my new country. But when it comes down to food, as I am as Italian as you can get. Anyway, you listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. And now let's go with a little song, and then we're going to wrap it up today's show. Don't go away. And there we go. That was the Legal Immigrant, music by myself, luca-zanna. I want to thank you, listeners, to put up with me and my brother together. With one is enough. Normally it's me, the terrible English accent, grammar, whatever. Now we got two combined. Hope you were able to handle it. Anyway, I want to also say thank my brother. He's a nice guy, and he really put a lot of passion in what he does. And I really think he's almost on a mission. He loves to share olive oil with the world, and the best olive oil from Italy. By the way, meanwhile, you see if you can hear my mouth is still a little bit noisy, or at least pasty. I was playing the song, I was having a little bit of a break with some bruschetta or bruschetta, as normally people they say here, and of course I was using some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil from my brother. Guys, I want to thank you. You know, people say sometimes, well, Mr. Luca, you talk about so many very serious things, the first hour guests, the sheriff, the importance of the elections and all these things, or at least the county elections, and then the guns, and now the blue you bring olive oil. Why? Exactly why? Because we need to go back to our humanity. As I was saying before, we had some time to rest to be able to fight another day, and we don't want to lose the purpose of why we're here. We're here also to have a life, to enjoy life. Okay, and these people, these evil criminals of the New World Order, they want to destroy our humanity. They want to make us live miserable. And I always say the best revenge is to live well. And sometimes you can live well with simple things. Maybe even just a glass of wine, a smile, a good coffee, or maybe a little good meal, and have a little bit of peace. Bringing back to simple things. Of course, our, kindness that we should have as human beings, our love for everything, especially for our fellow humans. So this is pretty much the purpose of the show. And I'm glad today I was able to finally to connect with my brother. Now, I want to say, if you want to support the show, this is not NPR. We don't collect tax dollar here, okay? First of all, support the station. It's an incredible station. The fact that it is allowing me to speak freely is pretty amazing. KTOX. And number two, also, don't forget to support directly my broadcast, okay? I mean, if you want to, you can go to my website at zanna.us, zanna.us, and download any of my songs for just 99 cents. Doing so, you can also support this show. So I appreciate you, and God's willing, I will talk to you next Sunday. Ciao.
Wake up.